Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day and night and evening and afternoon and morning and hello. David, what's up? How you doing?
So you think you can tell? Heaven from hell. Blue skies from pain.
Pain, yeah. That's interesting.
Can you tell it?
David, what's your favorite Pink Floyd song aside from "Wish You Were Here"?
That's not my favorite.
Well, you were just.
It's going to depend on the exact time. Sometimes it's comfortably numb. Sometimes it is the combination of Brain Damaged and Eclipse, which kind of they run together as one song. But you put those together, yeah, kind of depends. And every once in a while, it's which part is it? Part two of Another Brick in the Wall, because the one that became famous was was part two. But there's a part one and a part three, which aren't nearly as famous. But yep.
Just to my favorite one.
Bottom line is those guys are like 4 or 5 of my top 10 all-time favorite songs. Grew up listening to classic rock, and so what do you do? What do you do when the guy who's writing this stuff turns out to be an anti-Semitic piece of garbage? But go ahead.
There is a trend that is often observed, which is that many of these rock stars who were early on quite famous also happen to be personally very big scumbags. That is a stereotype that is very well known. Not sure if that's the case here as well. But that said, no offense to all the others who are not scumbags. They might be just less of a scumbag or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so today we want to talk about Anthony Rogers. Not Anthony Rogers. We want to talk about Roger. Yeah, Roger Waters, the singer and a songwriter of many songs of Pink Floyd back when it was cool. I think my favorite song is actually "Hey You." It's one of the ones that are not that popular, but it's personally my favorite. I think I only listen to like a handful of Pink Floyd songs occasionally, and that's one of them. I like that a lot.
That's why you're not cooler than you are.
Yes. Hey, there. Yeah. So, David, what do you know about Roger?
Pretty been anti-Semitic for a while. You know what I wonder? I wonder if it's like you wonder sometimes if people were kind of always like this. Like for all we know, he was just raised by parents who are constantly complaining about Jews or something like that. But the another possibility is these guys just had, because they're in the music. It reminds me of Kanye, right? He's in the music industry. It's possible over time you're interacting with a Jew and he was offering you a bad deal, or you got into a bad contract with someone, and then it's not like non-Jews. If it's just some random guy and he gives you a bad deal, you don't attribute it to a group. But if it's a Jew, it's just for some reason when a Jew does something, people start to apply it to the entire group or something like that. So I wonder, because matter of fact, they have a song called "Have a Cigar," and it's about sort of scumbag producers and stuff like that taking advantage of musicians and so on, and pretending to care about them while they don't actually care. So they've apparently had some bad interactions with producers and so on over the years. But you just wonder, like, is this just a guy who had some bad run-ins with Jews at some point in the music industry, and now he's like, Israel has to be wiped out or something? I don't know.
Alhamdulillah. That might be one of the issues. I saw that just earlier. That apparently he had a big change in his stance on Israel and Jews after a concert in the early 2000s or so. But yeah, but there's apparently much more to it than that. I didn't actually know much about this guy and how he is outside of his music, and didn't know that he has a big history of being against Israel and also having a problem with Jews. I'm pretty much finding that out quite recently now, and we also want to look at Piers, at the whole show with Piers Morgan and what he was doing on there, because It was quite sick, the clips that I have seen from that show. The clips that I've seen there, he defends Hamas. He denies any rapes. He even denies very well publicly known issues like Hamas holding a baby hostage and not releasing the baby and so on, and starts to doing like very bizarre things.
The only clip I saw was him. He was like talking to himself. Piers is talking to him, and then Roger starts going, Roger, should we, you got to forget what he said, but he's like, Roger, should we continue this conversation or should we, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if that was, if he was just being
I'm guessing he was
there.
trying to be clever or something like that, but
yeah, but it just looks very, very strange.
Now that's the dude. That's the dude who grew up as best friends with Sid Barrett, whom he originally started the band with. But Sid Barrett had mental problems, schizophrenic and so on. And then once the band started getting a bit popular, then they were all doing drugs. And if you already have mental health problems, drugs are going to amplify those problems and so on. So Sid Barrett completely started losing his mind. But they ended up making lots of songs about him. Anyway, this guy has a long history of being familiar with mental health problems, so you'd think he'd be on guard against being a complete lunatic. I don't know.
So you're saying that drugs are bad?
No, they're great.
Okay.
You heard it here from the Apostate
for a second there, I thought you were actually making this controversial statement. So there's this little clip here of which we was just talking about. Let me see.
All the filthy, disgusting lies that the Israelis told after October.
You wanted to say Jews. You couldn't bring yourself to it.
Yeah.
He's learning from the Dawa guys.
It has become a thing, right? Right now, one of the things that they use is Zio, then Zionists, and so on. It's like in most cases they're just talking about Jews, or they say Israelis and they're just talking about Jews. It's it has become just disgusting how common that is.
Isn't this weird though? Like Piers,
no,
he's had on a million different people since the October 7th attacks and so on. And some people he gets on because they're, maybe they're authorities in an area. In other words, they're experts in a field, or they really, really know a lot about the topic. But other people he gets just for clicks. And it's like, why would you get Roger Waters of Pink Floyd on to discuss politics? I mean, it'd be one thing to get him on to discuss Pink Floyd or the history of the songs or something like that. But you're getting him on there specifically to discuss Israel. This is definitely picking someone for views sort of thing. Whereas there's no, in other words, there's no scenario where someone's like, after all these various experts and all these different fields and all these historians and all these different experts and so on have commented, what we really need? Some commentary from Roger Waters. That would really seal the deal for me. I want to know what Roger Waters says about all this. No one cares. No one cares, but
it is real.
It gets views.
It is real. Yeah.
There's some women being raped, which were all completely...
Actually, women were raped.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were.
Well, there's no evidence.
It's been established by the United Nations.
You can say anything that you want, but there's no evidence.
Actually, there is extensive evidence.
There is no evidence.
Sexual assault and rape. Well, there is.
Okay, well, all right, now.
Also, we know what Hamas broadcast on social media.
Calm down. Roger, calm down. Don't sink to this level. All right, I won't.
What level?
Well, stop shouting. Stop shouting. Let him interrupt you as much as you... Okay. All right. Sorry, Piers, what were you saying?
Keep in mind, I mean, he's complaining about Piers interrupting him there. All Piers did was state a fact in response to stupid claims, and he was very quick. There's no evidence. There's a lot of evidence. There's nothing. They lie.
There is a lot of evidence. There is plenty of evidence. It is not even a question anymore. And we've gone through this so many times. But it's we have a lot of statements. First off, from victims themselves. We have statements from witnesses. We have medical expert statements. We have the United Nations put together a team, and the United Nations has been in no way friendly to Israel throughout this entire conflict and this war specifically. The United Nations, in 2 cases, put together a team of experts, of independent experts that go there without a common cause, without a common bias, go there and investigate, and they conclude that that there is. That they are sure that multiple cases of rape and otherwise sexual assault and abuse took place at the hands of Hamas and Palestinian groups and even Palestinian civilians. So there is that, and they have multiple cases of where Palestinian terrorist groups or civilians came inside Israel and there mistreated women and men, by the way, and children possibly sexually, and also continued doing that when they brought these Israelis as hostages back to Gaza, where they continued the sexual abuse. These things were all established by all kinds of different people, including an expert team put together by the United Nations that had to report on all their findings. The report is out there. It is dozens of pages long. I went through it here months ago when it first came out, and we also recently received an update. I think it was on June 10th or June 12th, where the UN put together everything, and they made it very clear that that Hamas and other Palestinian groups have on multiple occasions sexually assaulted or sexually abused Israelis, and specifically Israeli women, it said. So all of this is established, but this guy sits here and is like, there is no evidence. It's been debunked. Man.
For October the 7th.
Like what?
About burning babies and women being raped, which were all completely...
Actually, women were raped.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were.
Well, there's no evidence.
There's no evidence, he says. There's no evidence, he says. We know there's evidence. We have to listen to you.
Yeah, by the way, that's a really, really creepy thing to say. It's like when atheists say there's no evidence for God or something like that. It's like, oh, okay, if you want to say the evidence isn't convincing or something like that, or there's not enough evidence, that's one thing. When you say there's no evidence, I mean, keep in mind, when you say there's no evidence, you have a bunch of, talking about the rapes, you have, as you pointed out, you have the victims and you have the witnesses, and then you have the medical experts, and then you have even hostile organizations like the UN. Granting this, you have multiple media agencies who've gone in and examined the evidence, and they concluded, no, there is a lot of. So when you're saying there's no evidence, it means you don't even, if a woman says these guys raped me, or if someone says, hey, I was hiding in the bushes and these guys were raping this girl and torturing her the entire time, you're saying that the testimony of an Israeli is so worthless that it counts as nothing. Again, even if you wanted to think that it's not enough evidence for you, it's something. Someone saying, hey, I saw this, that's some evidence. Even if you don't completely trust the person, that's some kind of evidence. Even if you say it's not enough to persuade you. When you say that all these witnesses amount to zero evidence, you're saying that their testimony, the testimony of this one group of people, is so ridiculously worthless that it accounts to absolutely nothing. And I don't know. That seems a bit anti-Semitic to me. If you're saying this one group of people can't possibly even tell you what happened, or it's completely worthless.
Yes, that's true. That's true. There is more that we will, of course, go through. I pulled up a bunch of different things. Apparently, people have had different experiences with Roger Waters and his anti-Semitism over the last several years. Here we have a response from Orly Peter, neuropsychologist, trauma specialist. Roger Waters was just on Piers Morgan denying the rapes of Israeli women by Hamas and the kidnapping of the red-haired baby Kfir Bebas. My colleagues and I at Israel Healing Initiative were in Israel treating the trauma of the survivors of the atrocities that Roger Waters denies. As the video shows, the aunt of Kfir Bibas, a head occupational therapist at the Negev hospital where we were working, took leave due to her unbearable grief, knowing her brother, sister-in-law, and her 2 nephews were kidnapped by Hamas, and so on. Let's see, is this where it's put together?
I know.
Picking it up.
Babe Piers.
Are there still hostages there right now that are part of your community?
Yes, one of our head occupational therapists, she actually moved up to the Golan Heights in this past summer, right before October 7th, and her brother is the Bibas family, which is the red-headed baby that was all over the news, and Hamas claimed that Israel and the fires, caused their death and all that, but really we know that's not true, and these Hamas terrorists are playing psychological war games.
הייתה אישה צעירה עם שיער בצבע נחושת, שדם זורם במורד גבה ומכנסיה מופשלים עד הברכיים. גבר אחד משך אותה בשיער ואילץ אותה להתכופף. אחר כך חדר אליה, ובכל פעם שנרתעה ממנו דקר אותה בסכין בגבה. אחר כך צפתה באישה אחרת נקצצת לחתיכות, בשעה שמחבל אנס אותה. בערך באותו זמן ראתה 3 נשים נאנסות. ומחבלים שהחזיקו ראשים כרותים של 3 נשים נוספות. במקום אחר לאורך כביש 232 הסתתר רז. גם הוא השתתף בפסטיבל. הוא ראה 5 גברים לבושים באזרחי, כולם נושאים סכינים, ואחד מהם פטיש. גוררים על פני האדמה אישה. היא הייתה צעירה ועירומה וצרחה. כולם מתאספים סביבה, הוא אמר. Imagine
you're listening to this and then Roger Waters comes in and is like, no, there's no evidence at all.
Zero evidence.
There's no evidence at all. I can't trust him.
Yeah, whatever this woman says, she's a filthy Jew, so you can't trust it. And
you don't believe
no evidence. It's not that it's not enough evidence, it's that it's absolutely none because of who she is.
Yeah. And we will see more.
את הגברים עומדים בחצי מעגל סביבה. אחד חודר אליה. היא צורחת. אני עדיין זוכר את הקול שלה. ואז אחד מהם מרים סכין, והם פשוט שוחטים אותה.
حوالي في أول الثلاثينات. أبوك أولا. ثم أنا ثم
This guy said, then I, Ahmed, we raped her too, then we left, but I left before my father and Hassan, Ahmed and I left. So he went there with his father and this other guy, and they raped together. This is, of course, confession after being captured by Israeli security forces. Of course, the other side can always say, oh, no, of course, this is all under duress. These are, they were forced to say these things. Interesting, because they weren't really using those same standards whenever Hamas published videos in which terrible looking hostages were making statements like, we are being treated well.
And that's the point. If you wanted to say, hey, there's a possibility that this is coerced or something like that, you could say that. But to just say it's no evidence at all, nothing, not the confessions of these guys, not the witnesses, none of that is any kind of evidence at all. You kind of have to really just hate Jews to take that position, right? That no amount of evidence could ever convince you. Because guess what? If you have made up your mind in the way that Roger Waters has apparently made up his mind, then guess what? No amount of evidence ever could convince you. Because you can always say that. You could actually have video footage. People could be posting video footage from their cameras and say, look, I recorded this woman being raped. And you can just say, come on, Jews control Hollywood. Of course they can make this video. There's nothing that would even qualify as evidence. You could have every Hamas terrorist confessing to rape and all these witnesses saying they witnessed it and video footage. You can still say there's no evidence. It's just none at all. It's zero, none. It's wild stuff, man.
It's very, 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 very wild stuff. By the way, this guy doesn't look like he's been tortured or anything. So,
whoa! But you don't see below the neck. You can see beneath his shirt. He's covered in torture.
If he just started just letting it all out and saying all kinds of things like, "Oh yeah, me, my father, and all the others, yeah, we went out there and we raped Israelis." If he just was convinced to say that because he was, I don't know, like intimidated or something, then that's something very interesting about these brave Palestinian fighters who were so desperate that they had to go out and massacre and torture and kill and set on fire and rape people on October 7th.
طلعنا من البيت. بس هي عايشة؟ لا هو قتلها. هو قال لي بعد ما طلعنا احنا قال لي قتلنا.
Yeah, after we raped her, my father killed her, and then we left. Yeah.
طبعا طلعت لقيت مستوطن متخبي بالشجرة.
I like to think that nobody would harm a young girl.
حطيت حرمت على الكنبة واخذت هديك على ايام الفات.
מכנסיים ותחתונים היו למטה, ירו בה במפסעה.
מעל 30 בנות נרצחו ונאנסו. כי צריך לסגור את הרגליים שלהם, לכסות את הגופות שלהם. שאף אחד לא יראה מה שאני ראיתי.
Oh, he's lying because he's a Jew. How can you trust what a Jew says? Right?
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
That's how it is. But here you can actually have him again. When was that? This was just recent. Here they are protesting against Israel for boycotting for the BDS, also known as BS campaign.
We're going to hang. Okay, this is a photo op. Free Palestine!
What a dork.
Hey, you know this guy?
What?
Look at this guy.
Hey, is that Yusuf Islam?
Yes, the peace train guy.
Cat Stevens.
Yeah, look, peace train for Palestine. Put some Israeli women on the peace train so our Hamas fighters can rape them. And also free Palestine from the river to the sea.
Palestine!
Okay, shut up, man. I thought he was supposed to say something somewhere.
Yeah, as a guy who grew up listening to Pink Floyd, I have to say, Roger Waters saying this stuff is making me change my mind.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, but my goodness, man. He wrote Dark Side of the Moon. He wrote the entire album. Obviously, if he says there's no evidence of Israelis being raped, then I have to agree with him.
Yes. Yes, inshallah. Weaponizing rape. Okay, this is what this was about. One of the people who went on here together with him was talking about how Israelis are weaponizing the rape stories. I found this from actually 2 years ago, where he was talking to Joe Rogan, and I looked into that earlier a little bit. He was talking about how Israel actually wants a full-blown Palestinian resistance, so they can use it as an excuse to massacre all the Gazans and all the Palestinians and get rid of them completely and entirely. This whole narrative exists even when Israel doesn't do anything at all. It's funny.
The murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis last week was done with a technique invented by the IDF, by the occupation forces. The Israelis invented, let's kill people by kneeling on their necks and cutting off the blood supply of the carotid artery to the brain. That is an Israeli technique taught to the militarized police forces of the United States of America by Israeli experts, who the Americans have been flying over to the United States.
The Jews actually killed Pink Floyd. George.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? George Floyd, Pink Floyd.
George Floyd, Pink Floyd.
It's also It's also weird that the police department said, no, this guy wasn't supposed to be doing that when, according to Roger here, that's what they were taught to do by the Jews.
The Jews killed George Floyd.
Dude, isn't this amazing? Because we kind of make fun of the idea that you could just blame Jews for everything, right? People just blame Jews for anything. And here you have police with George Floyd, who's loaded up with drugs. He's flipping out. They kneel on him. Everyone argues about what caused the death. But there's one guy who comes in there and says, actually, guys, you're blaming the police. The other side is blaming George Floyd for the drug. Everyone's disagreeing, but it's actually the Jews. This is what they want.
The Jews.
The Jews.
The Jews. What is this? Let me see. What's happening over here? What is happening over here? This show is called Let's Talk It Over, starring 4 left-wing speakers in Israel. At this stage, they discuss football, and Roger Waters expresses his wish to start a campaign to ban Israel Football Club from all Euro and FIFA. This guy's obsessed, man.
States to teach them how to murder the blacks, because they've seen how
the blacks,
the Israelis. Isn't this weird? Because I get all these other messages. You see, it's the Jews who are flooding Europe and America with black people and Muslims, you see, because they're trying to replace the population. And here we have Jews are training white people to kill black people.
Yeah.
Jews, pick a side, man. Pick a side. According to these guys, you're on every side, having everyone killed. Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. They're training the blacks to take over and the whites to kill them, and they're training everything.
This guy is supposed to be, left-wing politics here, but it's almost this whole horseshoe theory thing coming true. It's like this guy here on his supposed left-wing side is basically the leftist Nick Fuentes, or the leftist whatever it is nowadays. Luke, what's his name? Lucas Cage. Did you see what one of those famous Nazis right now said a few days ago on his Twitter? The guy is going completely crazy. So first off, do you know anything about Lucas Cage, David?
I've seen his name pop up, but no, I cannot pick him out of a lineup.
So he's this bald guy who has gone from I don't like Israel and I don't like Jews very much to a full-blown Jews are evil and they are filthy demons and they're trying to control the world and they will soon kill us all, and stuff like that. So he said, I am removing all Jews from my life. I don't give a if they're innocent or not anymore. Their silence is violence. No more Jewish doctors or Jewish friends. I can't risk it. If I want Jews out of power, then I first must remove them from my life and lead by example. So this guy's a full-blown Nazi, but of course Jews have been very, very upset about this, and they are very sad. Lots of Jews have come out, started crying, saying, "What will we do without Lucas Cage's friendship?" This is worse than any genocide ever. That's what they're thinking. So here is him, and here's another case of him talking about Jews. He said, my wife just told me the Jews are now sending us Chinese food. Keep exposing your demonic nature, you stupid rats.
Yeah, these people are extremely sane. Lucas Cage, Roger Waters. Anything bad in your life? I tripped and fell down the stairs. You see? The Jews.
Jews, can you please stop sending Lucas Cage Chinese food?
Yeah, send it to me.
Or me. I like Chinese food. Yeah.
I will take that Chinese food problem off your hands, Jews. Just send it over here.
Send me some General Tso's chicken.
There will be no evidence of your plot. It will all be eaten.
Yes.
Israelis have been murdering Palestinians in the occupied territories using those techniques, and they're proud of it. They're proud of it.
Proud of that.
Israelis are proud of it. They go, hey, look how good we are at this. You can learn.
Yeah, you know, there's so much video evidence going around. There's so many instances of IDF soldiers, you know, saying, "Oh yeah, look at me, how I'm pushing down this guy's neck and I'm killing him. Look, I'm so proud of this." Hoo hoo hoo. That's what he's describing right now.
That's what
they're proud of it. Can you show me an example where they're actually proud of it, please?
The Israelis are proud of it. They go, "Hey, look how good we are at this. You can learn." Zionism is an ugly.
Why would you believe them? You don't believe them when they say these girls are being raped.
Yeah, that's true.
And it needs to be gently removed by us.
Look at what he said here. Zionism is an ugly stain and it needs to be gently removed by us.
How are you going to gently remove it, Roger? It seems like if you wanted to get rid of Zionism, there's kind of only one way to go about it, Roger. Are you in favor of that one way of dealing with the issue?
I mean, there are certain people who had similar ideas, such as one of them was somebody who failed as a painter, but then became famous as a peace activist and later peaceful leader of Germany in the 1930s. Later, he because he was so depressed and so rejected, he killed himself in 1945, and he was also being attacked just because he was critical of Israel. He was critical of Israel because he was an anti-Zionist. That's why the evil Zionists were oppressing him and attacked him and forced him to kill himself. That guy's name was Adolf Hitler. So apparently this guy also has similar ideas to that guy Adolf Hitler, who was just bullied because he was just critical of Israel. That's it. Alhamdulillah. That's what it is. That's what it is. This is, by the way, from a what is that? Where is that from? From a Hamas affiliated news agency, from Shahab News Agency. This is where it's from. He was actually on there. Shahab News Agency is a Palestinian news agency affiliated with Hamas. It was established in January 27 in Gaza. It's part of the Al-Aqsa Media Network. Al-Aqsa is the main network by Hamas, which, by the way, is led and I think was created even by none other than our dear friend, whom we heard speak quite so often here on this channel, who said these very, very nice words about Jews and Israelis, like these.
في هذا اليوم وفي هذه التجليات بفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى لنتطلع إلى أمرين مهمين نحن قاب قوسين أو أدنى منهما. أولا هو
The first is the cleansing of Palestine of the filth of the Jews.
Isn't that what Roger Waters just said? But he says gently, but
yeah.
What exactly does he mean by gently?
So look at this. This guy here is in charge of Al-Aqsa TV, which is the very network that Roger Waters goes on to talk about how Israel is totally bad and how Israel needs to be removed. And he's basically being hosted by a channel led by this guy who openly promises that the Jews will be eradicated. That's it. But hey, this guy here is apparently just an activist against Israeli oppression. Here he says Zionism is an ugly stain and it needs to be gently removed.
Zionism is an ugly stain. Mm-hmm. And it needs to be gently removed.
By Pink Floyd?
By us.
By Pink Floyd. By Pink Floyd, yeah. Zionism is just the existence of Israel. That's it. Zionism, all Zionism stands for is that a state must exist, initially must be established, but later on must exist or keep existing for the Jewish people, where they feel safe, where they are actually in charge. That is Israel. That is Israel. That's it. It's the existence of Israel, because of the Jewish idea. At the turn of the century, in the early 20th century, actually in the late 19th century, this idea emerged that yes, maybe it is time now for us, especially the secular Jews, for us to establish a state for ourselves, so that we can escape all of this oppression, the repeated pogroms, so that we don't have to rely on other people being in charge of us, because they want to punish us and kill us and push us around whenever they find an excuse. How about let's create our own state? So that is the idea of Zionism, and the main idea was that it should be established in what was then called Palestine, in Western languages. And at that time, that land was also very much empty, barren, very much unusable, disease-ridden, and so on. And the Jewish people, the Zionists, actually came in and started building, healing that place and building something great, and building this state of Israel that we have now. That is what Zionism is. That's all it is. That's all it is. Everything around it, everything that happens afterward, is what Israel does in its history as a response to the circumstances that arise, like the conflict with the local Arabs, for example. But when you say Zionism is an ugly stain and it needs to be removed, you're basically saying that the whole idea that Jews should have their own state is evil or is ugly, and that the Jewish state should be removed. What exactly do people like this imagine would happen if Israel was destroyed? What exactly do they think would happen?
It'd be world peace instantly.
First off, what would happen to the Jews? I know people like this don't care about the Jews. They don't care about Jews at all. But first off, the Jews would be massacred. It would be a genocide, right? It would be a genocide.
No, he says gently.
Gently. They would have to gently go to other places where they then would suffer a brutal genocide.
Yeah. Seriously, like, unless he's like even more delusional than he seems, he has to understand gently, in a way that the rest of us would understand it, would not ever do anything against Israel. So what does he really mean? Is it like, okay, don't need to go in there guns blazing, you just need to cart them off in some trains? We'll do it gently, like we'll cart them off in some trains, you know, we'll send them in some rooms, tell them they're in there for a nice shower, and whatever happens, but it'll be gentle.
Yeah, of course, we know that German products are very reliable, and Germans came up with this idea a while ago. Maybe we should try too. Yeah, that's what he's thinking.
By the way, I've said it hundreds of times since October 7th. Dudes like this, and just absolute hatred for all things Jewish. These guys make a slam dunk case for why Jews need a place of their own. Wherever they are in the world, it seems like a switch can just flip and tons of people can just, we need to get rid of these guys. We need to go after these guys in the streets. We need to harass these guys and attack their buildings and attack them and so on. And it seems like they need some place where they go, wow, things just are completely unacceptable here in France now. The tides are everyone's against us right now. We kind of need a place where we can go to be safe. Awesome case, Roger. You made a slam dunk case for why there needs to be a nation of Israel.
Yes.
Because the world is filled with people like you.
Yes. Imagine the Jewish people are like, yeah, we need a safe place for ourselves. We can't endure this whole thing. Let us build our own state where we can finally be safe. And this guy then responds with, no, how dare you? How dare you even suggest that? Are you crazy? We will destroy your state. Great, fantastic. I'm sure you will in the end convince these evil Zionists to just listen to you and go with your plan of removing any such safety and leaving themselves exposed to people like you. Fantastic plan. Great. Totally doable. Yes. Let's look at this dude here. Let's look at this dude here.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do
it. End it. Do
Let's
it.
listen to whether he is anti-Semitic or not. I think that's a very interesting point here. Okay. Actually, let's listen to the one-state solution part.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You either believe in it or you don't, and you cannot cherry pick it. And what you said earlier about excuse me, don't interrupt. What you said earlier was that Palestinians, all Palestinians should have exactly the same human, religious, civil, legal rights as all Israeli Jews. I agree with that. And when that is one unified democratic state that they live in together with equal human rights for all the citizens of that country from the River Jordan to the sea, that will be a starting point from which
idiot. What I mean, okay. So guys, you have a couple of options on the table. You have this endless, so you have the status quo, which is this endless cycle of Israel bombs them for the latest attack. Then they spend a couple years recovering. Then they attack again. Then Israel responds and so on. You can keep that going forever. That's one option. So status quo, just keep going with this cycle of violence. That's one. Two, Israel could just forcibly take the area over and push everyone out. Take it over. Just take the place. Just take the place and make it also Israeli and kick the people out, right? That's option 2. 3, you have a 2-state solution where the Palestinian territories get their own state. And then you have the 1-state solution where it all just becomes one big, happy state. One of those is far more insanely delusional than all the others. Have you seen what people on one side of the fence want to do to people on the other side of the fence? Roger Waters is saying, take that fence down. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this fence. And what do you think happens at that point?
This guy is suggesting, these are, there is so much here about this map, but so here, this here includes, this here is also included in Israel. Israel annexed the Golan Heights. Israel took over quite a bit here into the West Bank, or Judea and Samaria, and is currently operating in Gaza. Initially, Israel, or the Jewish state, was supposed to receive much less than this. And Israel was okay with it. The Zionists were okay with it. Mm-hmm. They were fine with it. They said, okay, fine. At least we're getting something. At least we're getting something, and we can then build our own state there and build our own society there and make things great. At least we can, we can have something there, right? That's what they agreed to. The other side said, no, we won't have that. We will have everything. The Jews, the Zionists, they have no right to be here. The whole idea of having one state in which both sides could have some autonomy and be independently responsible for their own communities, but it would be one common state, was also proposed at some point. It was rejected by both sides, but especially by the Arabs, who said, no, this is our state, ours only. And the Zionist side, the Jewish side, rejected it and said, we cannot risk such a thing. We have seen very, very well what the other side wants to do to us. Why would we agree to such a thing? And they're right. Over the many decades, for the last 80 years or so, many different instances happened that changed this map entirely, including Israel going in and taking all of this, then going down and taking the Sinai Peninsula, and so on. They always made the compromise. They gave the Sinai Peninsula back to Egypt for recognition. They were in charge of the entire West Bank here. They gave it autonomy and said, how about you take this and we talk about a 2-state solution? They were totally in charge of Gaza, which they took from Egypt. They tried to give it back to Egypt. Egypt didn't want it anymore. So they try to find a different solution, such as, okay, let's remove all of the Israelis from here and establish autonomy and talk about a two-state solution. If Israel didn't want to do that, if Israel just wanted to get rid of everything here, of all the others here, and just wanted to colonize, why would they remove their own citizens from the Gaza Strip? They removed them entirely, forcibly, some of them. Mostly it was a popular move, but some of them actually wanted to stay there. They had to be forcibly removed and compensated by the Israeli state, just so that these Gazans can finally have what they want and can then start working toward their own state. What did they do? They immediately selected Hamas as their leaders, and Hamas said, nope, we believe in killing and destroying and eventually exterminating the Jews once and for all, as it is stated by our holy prophet. And we will wait and work toward that to take place. That's what these Hamas bastards said in response to that. Now, somebody like, and when you ask these guys in polls, by the way, the people in Gaza, over 95% say they dislike Jews, they hate Jews, and they believe in eradicating the Jews eventually. In the West Bank, it is not much different. In fact, the people here are in many ways much more extreme than the people over here. And the Palestinian Authority that is in charge here is supposedly secular, but also has a religious ministry that preaches to the people during their Friday prayers the prophecy that they one day will eradicate and finally kill all the Jews. So what they teach here is, yes, we have our own thing going on right now, but don't worry, guys. Don't worry, guys. We will handle the situation somehow, and sometime in the future, as Allah promised it to us, we will in the end eradicate the Jews. And now Roger Waters comes here and says, how about we just remove all these borders when we turn it into one state where both sides, where everybody has equal rights and equal say, and then we'll just see what happens there. And I'm sure it will be fantastic. It will be fantastic. These Jew-hating people right there will just want to kill them. Will just want to kill the Jews, and we'll just allow it because it's a democracy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the level of insanity, I mean, it's just mind-blowing. I mean, imagine you were talking, I know whatever he's saying, it makes sense in his own head. It makes sense in his own head, even, no matter how insane it sounds to the rest of the world. But just imagine saying this anywhere else, right? Imagine just declaring it. Well, you know what? North Korea and South Korea, they need to unite right now, just be one state. Why? They would not get along. Someone there would be suffering because either the ideas of the North or the ideas of the South are going to dominate, and then everyone else is going to have some problems. So why? They have very, very different ideas. Why do you, some guy from Great Britain, think that you get to declare, no, these two places need to be one? Imagine saying it. Just imagine going on and saying, no, Pakistan and India right now need to be united into one place with equal rights for every, like, would you seriously not have any clue how difficult that would be? But guess what? That would be nothing compared to this. This is like, yeah, just tear down the fence and everything will work. Like, are you insane? And that's what's weird about this. All the people offering their solutions like this, they have there's nothing that connects them with reality in this situation. And that's a problem. Somehow you get to the topic of Jews, you get to the topic of Israel, and basic understanding of history goes out the window. Basic understanding of how evidence works goes out the window. All concept of reality goes bye-bye when you deal with this topic. And so you say, why? Why does common sense and any concept of reality go out the window the moment you mention Jews? Well, there's a theory. There's a theory on why these people are like that.
Well, to be fair, Jews invented logic and reason to control the world and to impose on them.
To show police officers how to kill black people. See, I'm sane.
No, how to kill blacks. So you sent me this earlier.
Oh yeah, it's funny.
Sadly, Roger Waters, you are anti-Semitic to your rotten core, also a Putin apologist and a lying, thieving, hypocritical, tax-avoiding, lip-syncing, misogynistic, sick with envy, megalomaniac.
Hold up. Putin, so he's anti-Semitic to his rotten core. His core is rotten. He's a Putin apologist. Not only that, he's a lying, thieving, hypocritical, tax-avoiding, lip-syncing. My goodness, he's not even singing his own stuff. He's lip-syncing, misogynistic, sick with envy, megalomaniac. Gosh,
David,
if only this were from a person who actually knew him. I mean, this is some random chick on
yeah,
Twitter.
it must be some random person. Who's this? Yeah. Like, why does this matter, David? Who's this?
It's David Gilmour's wife.
David, who is David Gilmour?
He's the other. He's the only member of Pink Floyd ever who's basically even with Roger Waters. Those are the two big ones. David Gilmour, Roger Waters. Those are the big members. When you hear the great guitar solos like on Comfortably Numb, which is probably the greatest guitar solo of all time, that's David Gilmour. So he's doing these he's one of the great guitarists of all time. And yeah, anyway, that's his wife there.
Yeah. So fellow Pink Floyd dude.
But she may be speaking on her own right now, so we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't actually know what David maybe David Gilmour thinks, hey, this is totally
rude. Yeah, maybe he's like afterwards he's like, honey, what are you talking about? That man is a saint, I tell you.
That man is brilliant. This is like all wrong.
Yeah,
it's all wrong.
Don't stop trying to cause division in our band, Yoko.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
Here we have David Gilmour responding to it, saying every word demonstrably true.
Demonstrably true. What are the words? Anti-Semitic, rotten core, Putin apologist, lying, thieving, hypocritical, tax avoiding, lip syncing, misogynist. What's weird is lip syncing is kind of the biggest diss here to a musician. Lip syncing, all this other stuff. Hypocritical, lying, thieving, misogynistic. Matter of fact, Roger Waters probably be like, well, yes, this is all true, but don't say I lip sync. I did not. David Gilmour says every word demonstrably true. My goodness. That's funny, man. That's the cosign right there. Because you'd have to be wondering, is this chick just being a Yoko trying to cause division? He's like, nah, every word's demonstrably true here.
Yep. And I don't know if we are to trust anyone on this issue, I would probably trust these guys here more than others. When they so openly and so clearly call him all of these things, including anti-Semitic to your rotten core. We also have different instances of where was that? What is this? Elderly Jewish. Oh no, not this one. Wait, wrong video. Wrong video.
Gosh.
Wrong video.
We apologize for AP ruining this entire stream.
Is this what you sent me earlier?
What? Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
And keep in mind who this is.
Sharon Osbourne confirms Roger Waters is an anti-Semite, frequently making derogatory comments about Jews. Absolutely. He laughs. He's always telling jokes about Jews, always making comments about money, the cliche, old-time opinion.
So, guys, this is Ozzy's wife. You're talking about people who have been around him and known him for years.
Yeah. Let's see.
Because I'm a Jew. Oh, yes, I'm a Jew. And I know him. I know his reputation that precedes him in our industry. And absolutely, he laughs. He's always telling jokes about Jews, always making comments about money, the cliche, old-time opinion. And you've got to remember that this man's 80 years of age. If you were to ask anybody in the street that's under 40 and you showed them a picture of him and said, do you know who this is? Nobody would know. So in today's music industry, yes, he's got his old fans from early days, but he's not relevant as far as anybody really cares about him to know what he's doing or anything like that. And I think that he must have really lost the plot and should really go and actually take his life, live in an old people's home, and leave the Jews alone. This has been going on for years. This isn't just happened because he's old and lost the plot.
Do you think he's an anti-Semite?
Is the Pope a Catholic?
Yeah, so that's her, Ozzy Osbourne's wife, saying this about Roger Waters. But of course, we don't know. We don't know. All of this might be told.
And so the relevance here is people who he's going on Piers Morgan saying, I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm just obsessed with this one little place and what these people here do. And you've got the people who've been around him and known him the longest, and they're saying, actually, he's an anti-Semitic piece of garbage.
Absolutely.
And a bunch of other things.
No question. No question. Yeah.
They can all move on, and I hope they do. But it's not for me to say what happened. It's for me to say what I feel about that. Oh, my God, I want to be there, standing in that square when that state is declared there. I want to be there on that day to embrace all my brothers and sisters, whether they're Muslim, Druze, agnostic, Christian, or Jewish, and whether they're...
Yeah, sure, bro. Yeah. Sure, bro.
Yeah, I mean... See, that's the problem with these guys. It's like anything is easy to say. It's like, I'm going to love the day when all of humanity just forms one giant big country and we all live in peace. Okay, that's easy to say. How do you actually make that work? What would be the actual practical steps of making that happen? It's about as realistic as just saying, oh, there's just going to be one state when where all the jihadis who want to kill the Jews and everyone else they're just going to all live in perfect harmony.
Man. Of course. That is very, very funny.
But shine on, you crazy diamond.
Alhamdulillah.
Nationality was Palestinian or Lebanese or whatever, or Israeli.
This dude's actually crazier than Sid Barrett. I just realized it.
Yeah.
Of this constant war. So,
but you talk about a state there, not a two-state.
Roger, who actually started with all the wars? Which side actually started with the wars?
Well, Israel, they invented the time machine to go back and incite all this hatred in the Muslim sources.
I mean, even if you just wanted to look at the whole Zionist versus Palestinian Arab conflict here, there would be no war right now. There would be no war if the other side had not started it and insisted on it the whole time. There are lots of people around there make these excuses and say, "Oh no, they don't want to give the Palestinians peace. They don't want them to exist. They're trying to genocide them. They want to get rid of them and so on." Dude, none of that would even be possible. You wouldn't even be able to point at such a conflict, at such a supposed effort that doesn't exist, by the way, if the Arab side had not been hostile from the beginning, from long before the creation of Israel, forever, over and over and over again. They have been consistently at war, consistently trying to subjugate or entirely kick out or get rid of the Jews. When the Jewish side agreed to peace agreements, to creating and recognizing states and so on, the other side always rejected it. The other side is the one that agreed to initially declare war, call in all the other Arab states, and to get rid of the Jews, of the Jewish state forever. That's why we are where we are. Man.
The two-state solution, everybody, with an IQ above room temperature agrees is a non-starter because of Eretz Israel and what's happened and all the building in the West Bank and what's happening in Gaza now, of course, as well.
Well, let me play you a clip. This is from a month ago. This was on your YouTube
It's not George Galloway, is it?
No, it's from your own YouTube channel. Okay. It's called Resist the Genocide, and you said this.
When this is all over, Israel is going to have to apologize, not just to the Palestinians, but to the whole of the rest of the world.
Killing all black people.
So we're very sorry. We got it all completely wrong.
And we are now leaving.
We are now leaving. We'll go back to Eastern Europe or the United States.
Wait, I thought they were all going to live together.
The Palestinian people whose land this is.
Wow, I didn't even see this. I didn't even see this.
Yeah, this is contradicting what he's saying. He's before it sounded like completely delusional in the sense that everyone's just going to have one state and live together, and he's going to be there embracing all the Muslims and Christians and Jews and so on. And now he's saying Jews need to get out and let the land fall to the Palestinians, whose land it was, even though it wasn't. There was no Palestinian state. It was part of the Ottoman Empire. So say what you mean, Roger. You're saying it belonged to the Ottoman Empire and needs to go back to being the Ottoman Empire? Is that what you're saying? Because that's who it belonged to. Then it belonged to the British. So should it go back to the British? Like, you're naming the group that never actually owned the land, and you're saying it's theirs. And all these other groups that actually had the land, the Ottomans, the British, you're saying, why not go to them? Why not restart the caliphate so that it can go back to them? What planet are you living on?
What planet is this, man? Let's see.
When this is all over, Israel is going to have to apologize, not just to the Palestinians.
Israel is going to have to apologize. Okay.
Wait, so Piers played this during the show?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's smart.
Wherever we came from, and leave these people, the Palestinian people whose land this is.
Isn't this guy a musician? Isn't he supposed to understand sound levels a little bit? Why is there such loud music and he's whispering?
You know, AP. We just need those. Then there would be peace.
So if they can rebuild and live in peace.
But yeah, because that's what they were doing before. Yeah, they were just building and living in peace. And once Israel goes away, all they want to do is just to live in peace and build. Right? That's what they want to do. I don't know, man. They are telling us that they want to get rid of the Jews entirely and build a caliphate. That's what they're saying. That's what they are saying. That's what they have been saying for a while now.
That's what they
do. Look at the history of the local population there.
Urinating upon one another. That's what they do.
Yeah. Look at the population there. You will easily find. I actually got two books recently that I don't have with me at this very moment. That I would recommend to further understand the economic situation and everything else there. But one is called Arabs and Jews in Ottoman Palestine. The other is called The Ottomans in Syria, A History of Justice and Oppression. And then I also recently recommended this other book here, which is called The Damascus Events, which goes into 1860 massacre of Christians that took place. But it's just... Any actual historical, perspective, any actual evidence looking at that region prior to the establishment, prior to the Zionist movement coming in and building things, it was crap. It was unusable, and it was a hostile environment. There was no peace. There was no prosperity. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing because you're recommending books. You're starting to sound like a nerd, man. Anyway.
I know. I don't want to do this, but... I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna finally get there where I will start saying, "I have another book recommendation here." Yeah.
Hang on, you didn't play the rest of it. Okay. Well, it said, of course, any of you want to stay will be welcome to stay as citizens of this new state.
Guys, isn't it like? What level of narcissist do you need to be? I mean, on a scale of 1 to 1,000,000,000, what level of narcissist do you need to be some British guy who, admittedly, one of the greatest songwriters of all time, but you sit here and think, no, this is how it's going to work, and the Jews who want to stay, and they're going to have to, and these other ones, they're going to have to leave, and then we're going to tear the wall down, and then how important do you think you are that you get to call the shots for all these other countries and tell them what the entire population is going to do. And it's going to be, all you Jews who aren't willing to live, you get out and go to Europe, and the rest, even if you've been there your entire life and grew up there, you get out, or you can live and be completely dominated by the Muslims who want to kill and rape you.
Man. It's so funny, by the way. Didn't he just say earlier that it's not for him to decide what happens afterward? And now he's saying, of course, those who want to stay, they can stay as citizens. Yeah. Who's calling the shots here? Who is calling the shots?
Roger Waters. That's who.
Let's see. I actually went to the video here. Let's see what he said.
Israel is going to have to apologize, not just to the Palestinians, but to the whole of the rest of the world. Say we're very sorry.
Bro.
This man has real problems.
And while I'm at it, let me go ahead and say that Saudi Arabia needs to just give all their land to Eskimos. And they have to do it right now because I say so. It makes sense in my head. In my head, it makes sense.
People whose land this is. So if they can rebuild and live in peace, which is what they deserve, in a state, whatever it's called.
Okay. I can't do this anymore.
AP. AP. Realistically, if all the Jews right now, if all the Jews said, we're leaving, they pack their bags, they jump on planes, and they leave right now and said, here, the land is yours, Palestinians, would there be peace? Or would that be one of the most shockingly bloody bloodbaths in history as all these terrorist groups try to annihilate each other and anyone who gets in their way?
I can say that if Israel suddenly disappeared or if Israelis left and said, hey, you know what? We leave this land to you, all of this, take it. It would quickly turn into Syria. That's it. Look at where Syria is right now. It would quickly turn into that because you have different factions that all want to establish their own thing. Hamas wants to establish their own Islamist state and build toward the idea of a caliphate. The Palestinian Authority wants to establish a Palestinian nation state and have no Hamas influence in charge. The two sides hate each other. Hamas also, out of necessity, or you could say the PFLP, the communists, the socialists, out of necessity work with Hamas right now. But it's just as stupid as socialists working with Islamists in Iran prior to the revolution. If Hamas took over, they would start attacking and killing those communists quite quickly. And this is, by the way, I mean, I feel like it shouldn't be necessary to point out how absolutely stupid communists always are. They are so retarded beyond comprehension, so absolutely incomprehensibly retarded that they will actually join a conflict, a cause, and then walk together and side with the Islamists and do these dumb things. When they should know, if they are a little bit informed, they should know, hey, you know what? If these guys succeed, we will all be killed. They should know this, but no, they're stupid. They could be the stupidest people around when it comes to political matters, and yet they are so loud. Maybe it's just a sign that stupidity also leads to being very loud in activism, which is why communists are very loud, even when they're very small in numbers, because they're just very stupid, incredibly stupid. They don't get it. They always support the ones who will eventually kill them in the end. Absolute morons. But yeah, the place would turn into a complete bloodbath, and Jews leaving that place would definitely not bring peace at all. But hey, Jews are not going to leave the place. Israel is not going to leave that place.
What, even if Roger Waters says they need to?
Unfortunately, David, I'm very, very sorry to disappoint, but unfortunately, even despite Roger Waters' words here, the Jews will not leave; they will stay there, and Israel will just continue existing. That's it, man.
Hey, President Biden, it's me, Bibi Netanyahu. Listen, after seeing that Piers Morgan interview, I've realized that we're wrong. We're ready to leave and hand everything over, just as Roger Waters of Pink Floyd says.
Man.
New state.
But the state, to be clear, would be Palestine.
Well, my personal opinion is that would be what it should be called. It was called Palestine up to 1948. And
Wait, what? What?
Okay.
You mean British mandate of Palestine? Is that what he's talking about?
I guess so. This guy imagines that. This guy actually thinks that there was a state, that there was an Arab state belonging to the natives. I just have one question. There are actually people that are part of this conversation who really believe that up until the creation of Israel, of the modern state of Israel in 1948, there was a Palestinian state which the Palestinians were in charge of, and it was called Palestine. I just want to ask those people one question. What happened to that state? Where did it go?
Jews
I understand. Israel came in, according to this weird narrative. Israel came in and took their land and all of that. But did Israel also forcibly get rid of that state, forcibly dismantle that state, despite those Palestinians always being in existence? What exactly happened to it?
They conquered them. They went in there with a big army, huge army. We conquered them, conquered the Palestinians.
But when did they dismantle Palestine, the state of Palestine, the country of Palestine? What exactly happened to it? Why did they get rid of it? Did they say, okay, Zionists, okay, we agree. We will now dismantle this state forever? No, because it never existed. There was a Palestine that was known as Palestine temporarily by Great Britain and the League of Nations, later to become the United Nations, that was merely a mandate, a mandatory called Palestine that should later on be turned into a country for the people living there. And by the way, according to the League of Nations in 1922, it was clearly written down that this should be a land where the Jewish people can return to their historical homeland and reestablish their country. That was the whole plan. That was the whole plan. That was the whole plan of Palestine. So Palestine back then was actually the Jewish homeland. If you want to accept that, the existence of that Palestine until 1948, that Palestine was created as a Jewish homeland. That's it.
Yeah, guys, I'm hoping, since we've talked about this a very long time, if you're new here or if you've never picked this up, just at least learn this bare minimum that Roger Waters, in spite of years of talking about this conflict, still does not know. There was no Palestinian state. There was the Ottoman Empire. And what we now are looking at as this area was a tiny backwoods area of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire fought in World War I. They lost. Control of the Ottoman Empire was taken over by the British and the French, and they drew up lines. One of the requests was, hey, can there be a spot where Jews are not under the control of Arab Muslims who want to annihilate them and so on? After World War II, seeing what happened in Europe and recognizing that the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem is plotting with Hitler to completely wipe out the Jews, the Western powers said, yeah, know what? These guys are right. They do need a little spot of their own where they're not under the control of other groups who want to kill them. So they took this little spot and said, okay, that's Israel. There was no Palestinian state there. Didn't exist. Never has. Never will.
Never has been. Never has been. Never, ever. In fact, I'll bring up a document here. Okay. Keep talking, David. Keep talking about the weather.
About to bring up the... So, anyway, guys, the one, whenever someone is saying, oh, and they took the land from the and they start talking about the Palestinian state or something like that. No. Ottoman Empire. It's the Ottoman Empire. When the British are dividing up areas and talking about who we're going to do what, they call that area the Palestinian Mandate. Under British control, there was a war. The Ottoman Empire lost the war. Now the British decide how we're going to divide up this land. Oh, we got Jews here, we got Christians here, we got Muslims here. It's going to be kind of odd if we lump the Jews and the Muslims together when the Grand Mufti wants to completely wipe these guys out and exterminate them. So how about we say Muslims over here, Jews over here?
Here's a document. This is from 1922, directly from 1922, from the League of Nations, from the Mandat pour la Palestine, from the Mandate for Palestine. It says right here, the Council of the League of Nations. Look, this is 1922. The Council of the League of Nations, whereas the principal Allied powers have agreed for the purpose of giving effect to the provisions of Article 22 of the Covenant of the League of Nations, to entrust to a mandatory selected by the said powers the administration of the territory of Palestine, which formerly belonged to the Turkish Empire, within such boundaries as may be fixed by them. And by the way, these borders that people draw nowadays, when these pro-Palestine guys actually put up a map of what they call Palestine, those borders were drawn by the British. Those borders didn't naturally exist. They weren't drawn by those Palestinians. They were drawn by Great Britain with the approval of the League of Nations, within such boundaries as may be fixed by them. And whereas the principal Allied powers have also agreed that the mandatory should be responsible for putting into effect the declaration originally made on November 2nd, 1917, by the government of His Britannic Majesty, and adopted by the said powers, in favor of the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, what did you say? Wait a minute, what did you say? In favor of the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. It being clearly understood that nothing should be done which might prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. And here is something very important. And whereas recognition has thereby been given to the historical connection of the Jewish people with Palestine. Historical connection of the Jewish people with Palestine, and to the grounds for reconstituting their national home in that country. Country here meaning land, which to this date is not really a state, is currently a mandate. This is what it is. In 1922, long before 1948, this was the idea. Great Britain takes this land, this territory from the Ottoman Empire after defeating the Ottoman Empire. And the Ottoman Empire was, by the way, ruling this land not with kindness, but with oppression. And they take it from them and say, okay, we recognize the historical ties of the Jewish people to this land, which we call Palestine. And in this land, we will build, or we will help the Jews reconstitute, rebuild their land. That's it. That's it. That's it. And you call this Palestine? You think this is what Palestine is? Okay, let's go back to building a land for, let's go back to building a country for Jews. How does that make sense? Because that's where we would go to if we went back to Palestine before 1948.
Open discussion.
Well,
I heard, excuse me, stop interrupting me. I heard somebody suggest the other day it could be called the Holy Land. I actually made that suggestion some time ago, and I've been persuaded away from that idea by conversations I've had with other people. No,
oh yeah, I had the idea. Why is nobody listening to these this bloke here. Malik said, AP, did you see what the Turks are doing to Arab Syrians? Yeah, it's very, very sad. In Turkey, there are currently protests and descending into riots here and there against Syrian refugees because of different issues that have been arising. I mean, when I was in Turkey, this issue was getting slightly serious. The last time I was in Turkey, I heard from a lot of people that they really hate the Syrians and really hate the refugees, and they really want to get rid of them. So there is a lot of hate in Turkey towards Syrian refugees going on, and the last few days saw lots of riots where Syrian refugees and other refugees were attacked, and things were burnt down. There was a Reuters news that over 500 people or so were arrested in these protests. On the other side, from across the border, Syrians came to protest and to attack Turkish military forces to demonstrate against that, and so on. But yeah, there was quite some clashing going on. In other news, David, I think this will be very interesting to you. Turkey today lost against the Netherlands in the in the Euro.
That's all they do is lose
championship.
The whole time you're talking about Turkey, I was thinking, gosh, how come every time I hear about Turkey, it's either people being the worst human beings imaginable or them losing something and stuff. That's the only time I hear about them. Yeah, and then, like, have we ever heard one good thing about any Turk?
No. Every single Turk has a problem.
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very, very weird.
It's Palestine. Let's call it Palestine. But that's not my business. That's for all the people who live
That's not my business. I don't make these decisions. I just tell them that what they all need to do. They all need to unite under one umbrella. All the Jews need to get out, except those who are willing to be under Islamic control and be their dhimmis. As for what they name it, that's their decision. The rest is mine.
With respect, when you say that all the Israelis should just up 7 million of them,
well, hang on,
should just get up and go.
All right, let me have my say.
He didn't even finish his question. He starts
out showing the second half of it. Fine. All right. I look miserable. I'm in Barbados. I'm talking to my phone. When you said that Eric said that he sees me waking.
That's a very weird comment to make here. This guy is just. It's a little bit self-absorbed here.
I just want to point out, guys, if you think this is not, to be fair, this is not a problem that is unique to Roger Waters. This goes back. I mean, this goes all the way back. I mean, Plato's talking about this in the Apology of Socrates. Socrates at his trial is talking about this, how he was told that he heard from the oracle that no one's wiser than Socrates. He's like, what are you talking about? I don't know anything. So he thinks, oh, the oracle is telling me that I have to go out and prove this wrong, and therefore I'm going to figure something out. They would take these things as kind of riddles. What am I supposed to do? So he goes around and starts asking people questions, and he's going to the people who had a reputation for wisdom, but he's going like, oh, okay, I'll go to the poets, I'll go to the politicians, I go to the craftsmen, and so on. And he said that the people who actually knew something in a particular field thought that made them knowledgeable outside their area of expertise. So the craftsmen, because they can make things, they thought, oh, you should listen to what I say about politics or something like that. But we've never gotten away from that. I remember watching on a talk show, and they were asking, who was that? Who was married to Brad Pitt back in the day? Who was that? AP? Who's that chick? The girl from Friends, Jennifer Aniston. She's on Jennifer Aniston. She's on some talk show, and they're asking her the meaning of life and so on. And she said,
you're asking the wrong person about any of that.
Yeah, I'm saying. So Jennifer Aniston, she's on some talk show, and they're asking her about the meaning of life. And then there was one they were asking Macaulay Culkin. And I'm like, where do you get this kid is in Home Alone? So you think, oh, let's go ahead and get his view on the meaning of life. And so anyway, you have no, to be fair, anyone can comment on their views and so on, but they're put forward on these shows like, now we can finally get the answers to this from these people who pretend to be other people for a living. And here you have, of course, the guy who since he is a great songwriter, he gets to tell entire nations what they need to do, and he gets to tell millions of people what they need to do, and he thinks that he should be taken seriously in all of this.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So why would you do this? Why would people? It's just for the views. I mean, let me see. How many views does this even have? 1.3 million views in 4 days. I don't know. Mohammed Hijab was getting more. You should have Mohammed Hijab back on. Gildog said, after stream, go help Michaela Peterson. She's being murdered by Dr. Lupus and Groypers for a tweet. I saw that she got in trouble because she called out how disgusting it is to how Lupus made a very anti-Semitic tweet.
What do they go for? What do they go for? Oh, you're just jealous because Andrew Tate banged you.
Yeah.
Instantly.
No, they're harassing her. I wish Michaela Peterson all the best. Nothing I can do about it. Yeah. That's just how people are. Yep. We should have a look at that maybe in a little bit.
Tears. I do. I am prepared to admit that I am in tears over Gaza every morning.
Are you freaking kidding me? Are you really tearing up now?
And are you in tears over October 7th? Nothing happened on October 7th, liar.
What an asshole, man.
Only 80 years old. I have never experienced the genocide of a whole people in front of my eyes happening.
Dude, genocide of a whole people? Genocide of a whole people? AP, has the whole people been genocided? Did I miss something? Did I miss something? I haven't been, to be fair, I haven't been following the news for a few days. Did Israel go and completely wipe out the entire population? Wow.
Yes.
I didn't know that. See, I was only familiar with them going in and hunting down terrorists who were hiding behind civilians and so on. But,
Israel has been indiscriminately genociding the Palestinians, which is why, of course, considering that the war has been going on for, let's see, how many months would that be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months now. 9 months. So the war has been going on for 9 months. If they are indiscriminately destroying this whole population here, the Gazans, they probably took out significant parts of the population. Oh, wait a minute. Total number of deaths reported by the Gaza Health Ministry to be currently at 37,953. That didn't even change much over the last 3-4 months or so. This is a terrible genocide, man. What is this?
Yeah, this is one of those weird issues where you have
Jews suck at this whole thing, man. Genocide. What is this, man?
Yeah, they're the worst. We can only be thankful that they're completely incompetent at genocide, but we know they're trying. This is the issue. See, Roger is speaking, and the only people who are going to find that convincing are stupid people who are already on his side. Everyone else is going, what genocide? What are you talking about? Israel hunting for the hostages that these guys still have and hunting down the terrorists who went on a killing spree? That's what you mean by genocide?
Yeah. I made a graph before in the past. And by the way, this also shows how, if you want to be here on the whole pro-Palestine, anti-Israel side, and to be honest, if you are like this guy when you are on the anti-Israel side, you just hate Jews. Okay, you're anti-Semitic. I don't care. I don't care anymore about these excuses. Okay, this is just pure anti-Semitism. This guy is obvious. But if you want to be on this side and have some recognition, all you have to do is appeal to emotions without paying any attention at all to statistics, to data, to actual facts. This guy is saying, look at this. What did he just say?
A side of whole people. I'm only 80 years old. I have never experienced the genocide of a whole people in front of my eyes happen.
Okay, so he is 80 years old. He has never experienced the genocide of a whole people happening in front of our eyes. We have actual genocides that happened over the last decades. We have had actual genocides that happened in his lifetime. Several of them. Is he talking about those? Or is he just saying right now that that he doesn't know that those happened? Or did he ignore those genocides? Did he ignore those? For example, one is happening right now. One is happening right now. As we speak, it is still ongoing. It is happening in Sudan. Why is nobody caring about that? Apparently, yeah, okay, that's in Africa. That's in Africa. There's just a bunch of blacks killing each other. We don't care about that. We only care about when Jews killed George Floyd, who was one of them blacks.
Yeah, AP, which part of no Jews, no news didn't you understand? Grow up. Stop embarrassing us.
We have a genocide against the Yazidis. We had that going on. We have the Darfur, which is the Sudan genocide that has been ongoing since 2003. We have Rwanda was very recent. That happened. How old is he? He's 80 years old. 80 years old. He should know about that. No, he doesn't care. I don't know. This is just so dumb, so ridiculous.
Read my lips. No Jews, no news. Gosh, simple, AP. Acting like this is rocket science or something.
Every day. The calumny.
Well, you have. Well, with respect, you have. You were born in World War II when there was an actual genocide of Jewish people by the Nazis.
I was that big.
What?
I was that big. I didn't witness
You were alive,
that.
is my point.
And besides, it never happened, Piers.
Wait, when was he born? He was born in World War II. Well, this guy is old, man.
He's 80.
This guy is old.
But I'm saying I never witnessed it. You can't witness something.
Yeah, but 6 million Jews were killed.
You cannot
by the
witness
Nazis.
something. Well, I'm not saying they weren't.
Right.
And was that a disgusting, awful crime? Yeah, it was. Just like this one
But
is.
entirely justified in an odd way.
Different.
Roger, my question for you is this.
Yeah.
When you say that you need to have the whole world saying, we're very sorry, we got it wrong,
Yeah.
we're now leaving, go back to Eastern Europe or the United States or wherever you came from.
Yes.
Do you understand how Israelis feel when they hear that?
Well,
You know what that is called? That is called ethnic cleansing. It doesn't matter. Jews can just piss off. Yeah.
depends which Israelis they are. And frankly, the fact is that something has to be. Or would you suggest no? Let's just let them kill all the Palestinians. Why don't we just let?
I believe there should be a two-state solution.
Well,
okay. I'm just convinced that this guy knows nothing about any of this. He's just talking because he's famous because he was Pink Floyd.
Did you catch the false dichotomy, though?
Yes.
Well, look, either the Jews get out or they wipe out all the Palestinians. You don't want that, do you? Those are the only possibilities here. Either they completely exterminate them, which they're trying but failing to do, or they get up and they pack their bags and leaves. One or the other. You say you don't? Okay, look, A or B, not A, therefore B. It's simple. It's either you completely exterminate the Palestinians in it, or all the Jews leave. You say you don't want the Palestinians exterminated, therefore the Jews have to leave. Which part of my airtight deductive argument don't you agree with?
Yeah, that's it. That's what they do. That's what they do. I want to quickly have a look at this thing here. What is this?
I like that. Dark side of the moon? No, dark side of Roger Waters.
Let's see.
Oh, that's
You're one of those I love Pink Floyd, but I can't stand Roger's politics people. You might do well to fuck off to the bar.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's all right.
At the time, Brian Morrison, who was himself Jewish.
I can't remember the exact circumstance, but something
hold up.
like,
Is this actually going on? This is actually a 37-minute documentary going through what led him up to this? That's interesting. I'll watch that. I'll totally watch that.
This is a whole thing exposing a bunch of stuff of Roger Waters and how how messed up and anti-Semitic he is. And there were a few things that I just wanted to quickly skip to and look at.
The last line of the couplet was, "'Cause Maury is a fucking Jew." It was my first inclination that there may be some anti-Semitism under the surface.
What?
Now, Roger knew that I'm Jewish. So I didn't know whether this was another one of those sort of button poking things that he was doing just to see if I would react, or whether he just didn't even get how offensive that might be to a Jewish person.
And when you said to him, well, what did you say to him?
You know, I'm embarrassed to say that I was so shocked that I didn't say anything.
It's a normal reaction, to be honest.
That's a very normal reaction.
It's a normal reaction. In the moment, you might not say anything. And later on, you might think about it and think, why didn't I say nothing? Why didn't I say nothing? Okay.
This is his concert.
We've had access to some of Waters' internal emails from 2010 when he was planning a worldwide tour.
Subject, pig.
Amongst the symbols he suggested should be stuck on the pig were Stars of David and the following epithets: dirty kike, follow the money, scum. Kike is a notoriously offensive word used to denigrate Jews.
Is it?
There is a pig, and it has a number of symbols on it, including the crucifix and the star and crescent. The Star of David is only part of a group of symbols that represent dogma.
Waters maintains he's highlighted racism and religious dogma with all sorts of symbols.
I think I saw this whole thing. He had a show where he was dressed up as a Nazi and was making a point here for artistic and critical purposes, but then he apparently felt quite happy with the whole anti-Jew thing during that, and people were calling him out on it. Don't know much about it though.
Racism and religious dogma with all sorts of symbols.
Maybe, but the juxtaposition between...
Yes, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. It sounds like he just has a problem with Israel and apartheid. You know, that's what it sounds like to me.
It's not going to happen, but I don't want to argue with you about
But nor is your plan. You're not going to have 7 million Israelis being sent back to Europe or the United States.
But you know what? Let me speak on...
What kind of a response is that? But something's going to happen. What?
You're not going to have 7 million Israelis being sent back to Europe or the United States.
But you know what? Let me speak on behalf of we, the people of the world, because we, the people of the world, whatever the...
Whatever the whole world.
This dude.
Come on, Roger. We have a civilized conversation.
No, you can't have a civilized conversation with somebody who constantly interrupts.
Okay.
Yeah, it's literal genocide against me.
Challenging you. You accept that?
I haven't. I was about to say something, and you're doing it again.
My apologies.
Accept your apology.
Thank you.
Please don't do it again, Piers. Right. Most of the people of the world do not want the Israelis to continue in their inexorable course to the end of their extermination of the indigenous people of Palestine. That's all
If I sat down with this guy and asked this guy basic questions about the history of the region,
I say, why are you interrupting me? Why? Just listen to my monologue the entire time.
He would have no idea about anything at all. Why in the world is this guy here to talk about it? There is no such thing as an indigenous people in that region. This is I don't know how to put this, but this guy is actually one of those who will be critical of this Western colonialism and all of that stuff. What he's doing here is ironically putting a very Western, a very Orientalist spin on this whole issue, on the whole conflict that is happening in the Middle East, right? What he's doing here is he's basically applying concepts, applying popular ideas or emotions that people usually have and use as a perspective in the West to the Middle East, where things are not like that at all. In the West, it's of course it's very popular to be self-critical, to talk about all the wrong things that we have done. I mean, I remember I was early in school. I learned about in Germany. I learned about how Christian history, Western history was full of flaws and things that we did and that we can learn of and things like that. People don't learn such things in the Muslim world, by the way. They never learn to be self-critical and to question the things they have done. You learn such things in the Western world. Unfortunately, a byproduct of that is also that it produces morons like this guy. But this whole idea that there are these indigenous people in Palestine and they're indigenous to the land, and then these colonizers, they're coming over and they're oppressing them. This is a very Western lens, a very Western spin that is put on an ignorant but also very arrogant way when looking at this conflict. There is no such thing as an indigenous people there that are being pushed out. No such thing is happening there. It's not the case. It's not like when we talk about indigenous people in Palestine, it's not like they were like the Native Americans who had been part of this land and who became a people in the Americas for centuries, for millennia. Such a thing did not happen in that region. In that region, much of the population that was there was not considered indigenous. And until very recent times, until the Europeans started looking at it, nobody even ever bothered or cared about the whole idea of being indigenous. What they cared about is, are you a Muslim or are you Christian? Are you Jewish or are you this or are you that? That's it. That's all that mattered. The Ottoman Empire didn't call people, the Ottoman Empire didn't say, okay, this is the land of Palestine and these are the native people of Palestine. They didn't know such a thing because it wasn't a thing. The Ottoman Empire grouped people into Muslims, Muslim Arabs, Christians, Jews, Turks, and so on. And then the people within those groups would then just call themselves, yeah, I'm from this part or from that family or from that tribe and so on. That's what it was. There was no indigenous people in that region at all. And much of what was known as Palestinian Arabs, not Palestinians, Palestinian Arabs in that place, they were simply Arabs who came to that place, or many others were also there for quite a long time and then intermingled and mixed with other populations. But lots of the people later to be known as Palestinian Arabs were simply people who came after the Islamic conquests of the region and mixed with the local population and so on. That's what it is. That's what they do.
That's what they do.
And Jews were also there. For example, I mentioned this a few times, but one of the most popular instances or places is the city of Hebron, or Hebron. It was a Jewish city for millennia, literally. Jews lived there forever. They never left. However, in the 1930s, the local Arab population committed a massacre and drove them out of Hebron. And now they're claiming that Israel is occupying Hebron and trying to steal the native Palestinian land, which was forever Jewish land, which was a Jewish city. How did that happen? Doesn't look like native people, doesn't look like indigenous people being kicked out and taken over and all that. Doesn't sound like that at all.
I'm saying. So,
yeah, with that, thank you, Sunrise in Paradise. AP earning his Mossad bonus. Thank you. This was this speech was, I think I hit my quota. It was long enough to get a bonus from Mossad.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to confirm I did find out where my shekels went.
Deborah, you're right. It was 1929. Okay, correction. Hebron massacre was 1929. You guys,
I can't trust AP.
Oh yeah, I got it here. Look at this. Just arrived because of my speech. Because of what I just said.
This is what we get, Roger Waters. What do you get? Oh,
yeah.
What? No shekels for Roger. What?
He gets his money from Qatar, so probably.
something has to happen that is not that. So if you say there are two possible alternatives, a two-state solution, and that's been on the table, let us not forget, certainly since the end of the 67 war.
No, the entire time it was. Before 67, the two-state solution was there. AP, if I'm correct, the two-state solution for many decades was always on the table, and someone kept rejecting it. Who was that again?
I don't know. Was it the... Oh, it was the Arab side. Wait a minute. It was the Arab side. Huh. That's weird. Because every single time, the Jewish side actually accepted a two-state solution. And every single time, the other side said, nope, not doing that.
Go back into the old stuff about, oh, well, the Palestinians turned it down. No, they don't. That is a barefaced lie.
Well, Arafat.
What?
Okay, go on. Explain.
It just is. It's a lie. Like all the rapes and the October 7th massacre. It's all a lie.
Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence?
Piers,
I know they publicly rejected it, but where's the evidence?
I said it's a lie. What more do you need? I'm Pink Floyd.
That is a barefaced lie. I'm not going to argue the toss with you. I know.
Wow.
I'm
Okay,
not going
fantastic.
to argue if you want to present facts and evidence.
Imagine going for a discussion, then saying, "Oh, by the way, this thing is a lie," and I will not argue that. I will not argue that. Yeah. You sound like a very reliable person.
How many platinum records do you have? Oh, none? All right, then. Shut up, isn't it?
Alhamdulillah.
It is. If you don't know it is, you haven't yet done the research.
Oh, I have, and I've actually interviewed people like Bill Clinton.
This guy's lecturing. Roger Waters lecturing people on research. Oh, boy.
Bill Clinton. I wonder if he will now say Bill Clinton. Wait, what do we will say about Bill Clinton?
Oh, I have, and I've actually interviewed people like Bill Clinton who were involved in it.
Bill Clinton. Dear God. Anyway, I won't go.
You would believe Arafat?
What was that response about? Bill Clinton, as laughable as he is, was a crucial part of these discussions. I don't get it. What is his objection here?
Bill Clinton?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah. Dear God. Anyway, I won't go.
You would believe Arafat over Clinton?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah. Arafat's dead, sadly. But you see, this is what I shouldn't get sucked into. Because
I shouldn't get sucked into a discussion because then I have to talk about the facts and the evidence, and I don't care about the evidence. I don't care.
Yeah, Piers, this is really bothering me. Normally, I just talk to people who mindlessly agree with everything I say, and you're actually disagreeing with me, and it's not fun. It's just not fun. Reminds me of back when we were working on the album, and David Gilmour would say, "No, we should do the background music like this," and I would say, "No, it's like this," and he would disagree with me. I hate that.
DC Isaac said the only thing I can agree with Roger Waters on is Bill Clinton laughs. Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's true. That's what they do.
You're wrong, I'm right. Nature of this program is what...
This is so funny because he comes in here with the whole "you're wrong, I am right" attitude, and if you disagree with me, I will just not talk to you. And then he accuses Piers Morgan of running a "you're wrong, I'm right" show. So funny, man. All right, let's see what he says about Israel's right to exist. However, let me get some super chats here. Garbled Word said Roger Waters at a restaurant in Lebanon. Don't give any of that Jew food. His Holiness Apostate Pope Leathers Strapius the First. Wow, that's pretty brilliant. Dear Pastor,
this is from your dream. Your dream has become reality.
My dream is talking to me. Dear Pastor Ridvan, you shall soon be chosen for the papacy to witness the end of Islam thanks to the Jews. That's what they do. Yeah. I want to go back to that dream, man. I don't know. Maybe since I had that dream, I should actually work toward it. Can I still... I'm a bit old, but can I still switch toward that and try to become the Pope or something? Is that something that works? I don't know. Let me know.
You'd have to ask the experts here.
Yeah. Any expert? Ayatollah Khamenei said, and I have become comfortably dumb.
No, I've been saying that one for years. For years, I've been planning a video called Comfortably Dumb, where I was using a bunch of Pink Floyd lyrics to make a point, but I've never actually done it.
I've become
comfortably dumb.
Mr. Mac said there's a photo of Roger Waters wearing a shirt with resist written on it instead of racist.
Weird. Should have gone with racist.
Huh. That's funny. Racist. Why won't PM also have a Douglas Murray-like expert who spill it all about Roger Waters' music? That's a funny idea. I did see, by the way, Douglas Murray actually had a response to Roger Waters, but I didn't watch it. Crusader General Waters is a Mossad agent subverting public opinion of Jew haters. Coincidentally, so was Mohomo. Yeah, I believe this. AE says, huge PF fan, so disappointing. He's just another hypocrite. They never want to admit some ish lame once the Jews did. Are you sure that PF stands for Pink Floyd? Is there is this confirmed? But there is no evidence. There's no evidence. Sid Dave said secularism, multiculturalism won in the UK thanks to Muslims for always defending democracy in countries where they're in a minority. Actually, lots of the Muslim population in the UK was protesting Labour, the Labour Party, and they were organizing independent people, independent candidates, and also the what's the guy's party? George Galloway's Workers' Party, which by the way failed brutally, and he's no longer in office. That's just wonderful. He lost his seat. That's just wonderful. Alhamdulillah. But yeah, let's see what happens to the UK. Call of Ridora says, your boys praise to the All-Father. Have you seen the video? Allah says something shocking about women you have never heard by One Islam Productions. No.
That sounds funny, though.
Allah says something shocking.
It's by One Islam Productions, so it's going to be awesome.
Allah says something shopping about women you never heard.
Non-Muslims shocked when Allah says this.
I have to check that out. It looks ridiculous. Oh, they started making AI thumbnails.
Allah shocks everyone by saying this.
Allah shocks everyone. Salim Chowdhury said, Sahih al-Bukhari narrated, Aisha, I used to watch Allah's Messenger get into the Colby style position. Thank you. Very, very enlightening. Thank you. Moo Joe, mental health, dumbness mixed with
you have to wonder.
None of them make good arguments against Israel or for supporting Hamas nutcases.
Yeah, you have to wonder if I mean, think about all the weird connections here, right? You have to wonder about Muhammad's command to kill dogs, which in the Muslim sources is because Gabriel stands him up because there's a dog in his house, and so Gabriel won't come into the house, and then you've got these claims that an angel will not come into a house with a dog. But then Muhammad keeps getting caught with Dihya al-Kalbi over his house, and when people say, hey, what are you doing with Dihya al-Kalbi, the super hot guy in your house? Then he says, no, that's the angel Gabriel. But think, this is the angel Gabriel who looks exactly like a guy named the dog, and this is the guy who keeps like people think that this guy's over his house, but it's actually the angel Gabriel, and then the angel Gabriel won't go over there because the dog isn't like there's something suspicious going on here. That's all I'm saying. And that maybe these complaints about dogs is actually related to Dihya al-Kalbi being over Muhammad's house. Maybe that was the dog that angel Gabriel's getting jealous over, and then angel Gabriel won't see him anymore, and then so he keeps saying that Dihya al-Kalbi, who's over there banging him, is actually the angel Gabriel. I'm just saying, there's something weird going on, right? I'm saying with the dogs, and hey, there's a dog in your house, therefore Angel Gabriel's not coming. But then a guy who's literally called the dog is over there, and he says it's the Angel Gabriel. Something weird and creepy going on there, and I don't know what's going on, but something's off.
That sounds pretty gay. Pretty gay.
Hey, since we're recording, Muhammad meets Queers for Palestine next week. Maybe we'll bring some of this up.
Probably.
Maybe D is going to come up in the discussion.
I trust that you will bring it up. Poloni Dalmoni said Weiserus is anti-Semitic to rotten core, says Pink Floyd lyricist Paulie Sampson and husband David Gilmour. Amused to Death is my favorite Roger Waters album, but I pirated it. Oh no, you can't say that, man.
Then you're going to get scurvy.
Yeah.
All this pirating.
Moo Joe said no evidence. I think Shani Luke video is suffice. There are evidence of bodies with things inside them. We need to see he need to see live gang R to believe it.
But they're liars. They're all liars.
This is one of the objections that that these pro-Palestine people have been bringing up from the beginning. Well, why is there no video? Why can I not see a video of them raping people? Well, I saw no footage so far of somebody raping people. That's what they expect. That's what they expect from rape cases. Yeah. Face the facts. Roger Waters loves being repped by Hamas men. For him, it's not rep. Here's to you, Mr. Roger Waters. Thanks for showing us who the British people really are. British people? It's not British people, mate. 3D's Nuts says Roger Waters is bought into the mainstream narrative is always wrong. He has a lot of contrarian views. I mean, he just sounds like an imbecile, very uninformed. Of course, also old, so that might play into it a little bit. I don't know what it is, but pretty stupid. Pretty stupid. Eric Barlow said, I can understand how he wrote Dark Side of the Moon. He's a lunatic.
The lunatic is on the grass.
Based. Celeria Rosenkrantz said, let not your heart be troubled, even if the artists are horrible creeps, you can still love the art. A lot of classic rock artists have major issues.
By the way, that's true. And we know Celeria likes Pink Floyd, but I'm the same way. You can be a total scumbag. If I like a song, I like a song. Yeah. I may not send you money, but if I already have the song and it's a jam, I'm going to listen to it.
Yeah, just because.
In other words, when I listen to a song, it's not, oh, I agree with this guy's political views. No, and keep in mind there are other people in the band at that time who think he's a total scumbag. So you can listen to it for them.
Yeah. Just because Hitler was terrible for what he did, but I still like his paintings, for example.
Yeah, that's why you have prints all over your walls.
Yeah. Ayatollah Khamenei said, Lucas Cage, a Jew just fell on top of my wife and she was moaning. I just arrived at home. I just came home yesterday and found that the Jews are now dropping men on top of my wife. They're going after my wife. Fully the wire said first they killed Jesus and now they're after Christmas, Lucas. Shalom Kovesh said to our beloved Fatih Sultan Redvan. Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm indeed an Ottoman Sultan. Is the letter K in Turkish supposed to be pronounced like K in English or like in Arabic? I sometimes hear Ibrahim Tatlis is pronounced as while others as K. Ibrahim Tatlis is a Turkish singer who is of Kurdish origin and from southeast Turkey. So he has a strong accent in a way, where he sometimes uses those sounds in a Kurdish influenced southeastern way, which is why he will do these pronunciations sometimes. But it's actually k, k, k. That's what it is. Turkish K is k. Yep. Monkey Mike says Roger Waters will be a master in Gadsad's game 6 Degrees of Jew. This man is either completely cuckoo and have walked aboard the crazy train.
Crazy Train is an Ozzy song, man. And you saw what Sharon Osbourne said about the man.
No. He is actually on the Peace Train with Cat Stevens. Monkey Mark, follow up to my former comment, or just filled with hate. I don't know. I think he's just crazy or something. He's suffering from some problems.
This man has real problems.
And finally, Celeria said, also, as Ocean Mist and Dimitri are saying, Waters doesn't necessarily represent Pink Floyd as a whole. He left and the band was still great after. No. If you are listening to Pink Floyd, you are literally supporting everything that Roger Waters has said. Therefore, tonight I'm going to throw out and throw in a trash all Pink Floyd records and everything that I have with me, which I don't have a single one, so that's not going to be an issue. Yeah.
But surely that clip that I played, when you talk about the Israelis having to go back to where they come from.
If they could apologize for what they do. Obviously,
no, Roger, let me ask a question.
Okay.
On that point.
Stop interrupting me, Piers.
Eastern Europe, wherever you come from.
Yeah.
To tell 7 million people to go back where they come from, many people would view that as racist. And in the case of Israelis, to be anti-Semitic, something you've been accused of being. Now, do you understand why they would take it that way?
Absolutely, of course I do. We have to remember that most of the population...
Absolutely, of course, I do see why they would see that
exactly what I meant.
Anti-Semitic, but
it's supposed to hurt.
Yeah, but that's what I meant to do.
Of course, it's going to be offensive to these filthy Jewish pieces of human scum. Of course, it is, but they deserve it, Piers. What's the problem? They're committing genocide.
Man.
Of Israel are young, much younger than me, even younger than you, if such a thing was possible. And they have been pretty well brainwashed into believing that they are superior to the other people who live there. And I have to say, the thing about...
Is that the perspective we got when we were there, AP?
Wait. What the heck? What? Wait. I want to listen to that again. Wait. Did I just hear that correctly?
They have been pretty... Most of the population...
Okay, wait.
Wherever you come from.
Yeah.
To tell 7 million people to go back where they come from, many people would view that as racist. And in the case of Israelis, to be anti-Semitic, something you've been accused of being. Now, do you understand why they would take it that way?
Absolutely, of course I do. We have to remember that most of the population of Israel are young, much younger than me, even younger than you, if such a thing was possible. And they have been pretty well brainwashed into believing that they are superior to the other people who live there. And I have to say, the thing about...
They've been brainwashed. So most of the population is young, and they've been brainwashed into thinking that they're superior to the rest of the population.
What does that sound like?
One, I have to say that sounds like exactly what Islam teaches, but that you're superior to the rest of the population and you should control the rest of the population. Have to say, didn't get that vibe at all from Israelis when we were there.
Not at all. First off, not at all. Secondly, superiority is not something that is being promoted. Thirdly, this sounds like a very, very, very typical thing I hear nowadays from people who openly hate Jews. This whole idea, the Jews, they're learning that they're superior to everybody else. They're the superhumans, and so on. And this is often connected to the whole idea of the chosen people in Judaism, which is deliberately misused by them. When everyone who is familiar, who has studied a little bit of the Bible, and who is aware of the concept of the chosen people, knows that the idea of the chosen people is not about being superior. On the contrary, it could even be perceived as being as being burdened with more than everyone else, and being treated unfairly. It could even be seen as that. But David, Yeah, let's go into that. I'm going to look for something quickly, but the whole idea of chosen people, since this is something that people bring up all the time, do you think from your studies of the Bible that this is an idea of superiority to all others?
No, in fact, it specifically says the opposite. God says, I'm not choosing you because you're better and more moral than other people, or because you're greater or anything else. He says, I'm doing this to fulfill my promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And if you do the same thing that these pagans did, child sacrifice and things, if you do the same thing that they do, I will treat you in exactly the same way. In other words, there's no superiority just because of who you are. You do the same things, I'll treat you in exactly the same way. And this, what happens is they repeatedly break the covenant. They get expelled and taken to other lands and so on, and brought back. By the time you get to the New Testament, there was a dispute in the early church. Once Gentiles start becoming Christians, there's this dispute. Do the Gentile Christians have to follow the Old Testament regulations? And then the response of the early Christian leaders is, why are we going to burden the Gentiles with these things that we haven't been able to live up to either? You don't get this idea. We're so great and so superior to everyone else of all time, and we're the ones who do this. It's like, guys, we were given the law and we failed. Why are we gonna put this on other people? Just believe in Jesus. Just believe in Jesus. But yeah, where do you get this idea that chosen means superior and you get to control everything else in all the world? I don't hear this from Jews. I only hear it from people who hate Jews.
Yes.
And what's amazing is roughly 60 to 70% of the time I hear it from Muslims who are told specifically that they are the best of peoples ever raised up for mankind, and that Jews and Christians are the worst of creatures. So it's people who believe they're superior and that other people are inferior, complaining that Jews believe they're superior and everyone else is inferior.
Yep. Very, very similar. I have never heard a single Jewish person describe themselves as superior to others. I have only repeatedly heard such an accusation from people who hate Jews. And one of the ideas that they appeal to is the whole chosen people idea, and it's funny that this is also an accusation that is brought up by gropers, for example, people like Nick Fuentes, who claim to be religious Christians, but who seemingly have never ever read their own Bible, or never tried to understand their own Bible. Because if they did, they would probably not use this as an accusation, because they would then understand that the idea of being the chosen people is not about superiority at all. Not at all. Not at all. But hey, I have heard similar things from this guy. We just talked about him early on. This guy's a full-blown Nazi. Lucas Cage.
Are you not sick of these people? I am so sick and tired of Jews in general. This is the Jewish problem. They always side with their fellow Jews. It doesn't matter what they're doing.
Whoa. Hey, pause it. Pause it. AP. We were in Israel. Didn't we run into people who were talking around and going and protesting the war? What do you mean? I thought they always side with their own people. And there are constant protests and arguing amongst themselves about what they're supposed to do. What do you mean? I thought everyone, it's a hive mind.
It's a hive mind. Look.
Hive mind. Jews always want to control the frame of all points, whether it be the left wing or the right wing. All they do is destroy everything they touch.
Where?
Jews stole my socks. They stole my underwear.
Jews did this to my head.
Jews make me stupid. I took an IQ test and I even failed that because of the Jews.
Yes, they poisoned my water and reduced my IQ by 50 points.
Not a single Jew on the planet can be trusted. And why should they? Why should a Jew, a fraction of humanity, only 16 to 20 million people on the planet, be in charge of any institutions anywhere? It shouldn't be possible mathematically. The thing
this
about
proves
Jews,
that they're super people.
They will enrich themselves in every.
You know what's so funny to me? I don't know, man. It sounds like these people who hate Jews so much that they obsess about this Jewish power. It sounds like what they are saying is that Jews, despite being such a small number of people, despite being such a tiny number of people, they're so good. they're so good at this, so smart, so powerful, so amazing, that they're controlling the whole world, that they rule America, the strongest nation that has been so successful, the strongest, the most prosperous, the most advanced nation in the world, the United States of America. They did it. They rule it. And together with that, the European nations, they are being ruled by Jews as well. And not that, of course, anything else in the world, all the banking systems, everything out there, everything that is powerful, everything that is big is being ruled by Jews. Wow, that means it looks like Jews are really, really, really powerful, really superior people. This is amazing. If you think that Jews are that powerful, maybe you should want them to actually rule the world. Maybe you should want to give the power to them.
Yeah, that's what. Remember what Destiny said when he's in that debate with Soleiman, and he's asked, "Hey, if you had to convert to a religion, which one would you pick?" And he eventually said Christianity, but at first he said, "Well, if Jews are controlling everything, and they're just saying, I think I'd want to get on board with that." And it's like, yeah, exactly. If they're really that powerful, my goodness, that sounds like a group everyone would want to join. Carol B here in the chat said, maybe they're smart and motivated to succeed. Losers hate that. Yeah, imagine if culturally you had like this culture in your group where it's emphasized, hey, work hard, study hard, go to school, get a great education, become a lawyer, a doctor, a businessman, a producer, something like that. And it became like the ideals of families. Well, guess what? You're going to be pretty successful, and you're going to do really well and become really well educated. And you're going to have, you're going to make lots of money, everything else. And then you get condemned for it. Shame on you. Shame on you for, working hard, emphasizing education and getting good jobs. Anyway, that's wild stuff, man.
Yeah. Jews always consider themselves better and superior to everybody else. They are in charge. They only care about themselves. They are powerful, and so on. This is pretty much the Nazi idea here. Oh, here, look at that.
Because what they want is power. Because their Judaism, their Jewishness, makes them think they're superior to everyone and they should rule the world and we should be below them. The Jew.
This is every one of them. He said every one of them thinks that.
One of the people who actually openly says it. I don't know. Maybe he's kind of dumb. I saw. I know. I'm trying to be nice here. I'm trying to be nice to the Nazis.
Well, you're good because they're so nice to you. So
yeah, they're so nice to me. There was a whole thing of this guy Lucas Cage where he took an IQ test, and he thought that the IQ test is a terrible indicator or something like that. Let me see if I can find that. IQ. Let's see. IQ
seems around 90 to me. And this is the only clip I've seen from him that I recall. But based on this, he sounds like 90.
Huh.
What?
I don't know.
Well, thought you were about to shock us and say, turns out he has a 180 IQ.
His IQ is what?
What?
I don't know. I'm just looking for it. I'm just seeing these dumb things. So Lucas Cage said, LMAO, I, according to this Mensa test, have an IQ of 95.
I was off by 5 points. Shame on me.
Below average. This is not funny, David. It's not 70 or something. It's just slightly below average.
No, 95. And you can look at countries, and they're entire countries where they have an average of like 75 and 78 and stuff like this. So he'd actually be He'd actually be very smart.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Keep in mind when I said 90, I wasn't thinking, oh, this guy's really stupid. I would have said like 65 or 70 if I was saying that. I'm just saying he seems slightly below average. That's what he seems like to me. That's why I said it.
I think Mensa with these online tests are not actual valid tests, by the way. They are they're just to get an idea of where you might stand. I think they have an error rate of like 15 to 20 points or so when you take them online. So it shows you where you are approximately, possibly, but it's by no means a valid test because you would have to go into a place or be tested under.
They give you it can give you kind of a general idea of whether you're smart or average or dumb or something like that. But yeah, to get an actual score, it's a more in-depth test.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, look what it says here. I have an IQ of 95. The test consisted of moving weird shapes around. That doesn't sound very strange at all. That is pretty much the standard.
He's saying
IQ
he's saying how this determines IQ is beyond me. Yeah, it's relevant if you can visualize in your head which shape is the same as this one but turned in a different direction. It takes intelligence to try and figure that out.
Now, if somebody just showed this IQ test result and said, "Look, I have an IQ of 95," I would say, "Okay, yeah, whatever."
Normal.
But when you then post it and also say the test consisted of moving weird shapes around, how this determines IQ is beyond me, that kind of makes me think, okay, I wasn't gonna say anything until here, but really, man. First off, you're questioning Mensa here. You're questioning Mensa's methods on testing IQ, and you may have your disagreements with Mensa, but Mensa is the most well-known and most credible place and source for these tests and for determining average intelligence. But then being totally perplexed by why moving weird shapes around would be part of the test and how that could determine your IQ. That's quite stupid. It literally is a very good way to determine your reasoning skills, to see whether you can looking at a pattern, figure out what comes next. That shows an aspect of your intelligence.
Yeah, and it has to be things like that. Keep in mind, you're not going in there and they're not going to test you on the Pythagorean theorem because that would be testing how much you've learned, not your IQ. It'd be testing, what you learned in math class. Keep in mind, you can have an IQ that's through the roof and never go to school at all.
Yeah.
So that's what it's testing you on, your sort of just natural intellectual ability.
Yeah, I think 95 is a bit too high as a result here for him, to be honest. I don't buy it.
I'd say 90.
No,
I'm not. He's not an idiot. He just seems a little below average to me. Keep in mind, that's different from what your views are. Your views can be insanely stupid. But yeah, I don't know. Seems a little below average.
I don't know. Look. There's a thing here. Like we talk about one of those gropers, Nick Frito. That guy, I would never say that guy is stupid. He's actually intelligent. That guy's intelligent, but he's pretty messed up and vile. Okay? That's where I would say, yeah, not stupid. He's intelligent. He knows what he's doing, and he's vile. But with Lucas Cage, and the guy is a complete idiot. He's completely stupid.
I don't know. I only saw one video, but it just seemed like a Nazi.
Is competing there with Jake Shields. I don't know which of those two is dumber, honestly. They're difficult.
Oh, Jake Shields? Jake, I would say 80 to 85.
Maybe. But actually, plot twist, the Jews invented the IQ tests to control these people or whatever, something like that. I don't know.
Eastern Europe or Northeastern Europe and the United States, they've tried to sell us this idea that somehow they are biblical people and that God has given them the land. That's what I keep
hearing from the Jews all day.
Okay, Look, I didn't even listen to the rest. I was just speculating, and here he goes. Here he goes. This is just pure
world-renowned theologian and Bible scholar Roger Waters, the atheist.
Has given the land. That's what the Christian evangelicals believe.
Well, look,
all I'm saying is that they're not indigenous people. Most of them. There are a few of the Jewish people who are citizens of Israel who are indigenous to the area. But back in the 19th century,
I looked at them. I tested them. Yeah, I saw that they're not.
I went there
indigenous
and
people.
did I forgot what the site's called. 23andMe. I did the 23andMe test on all of them.
Yeah.
And I found
I
three.
collected some of them. I collected some of those young people in Israel. Yeah, I put them in a van and took them to a secret place and put them in these cabins and said, "Here, take a shower." And while they were doing that, I also took the 23andMe test before they were done with their showers. And it turns out they were not indigenous.
Look, I went around with a little syringe in it, and I walked around and just taking a little, and when they weren't looking, I just stab them real quick, get a little bit of blood, send it in. Turns out there was a few of them who's indigenous.
Yeah, and notice he didn't say this. He didn't just say some people. He's not talking about the religious people or that. He explicitly said the majority or most Israelis consider themselves superior to others.
Yep.
And this is his response to Piers Morgan asking him about how Israelis would perceive it when he says that Israelis should go back to Eastern Europe and America. This is his response to that.
And here's the messed up thing. If you actually believe all this stuff, Jews think they're superior and they're genocide. We're watching a genocide before our eyes. And there was this state there. It's called Palestine. And Jews just showed up with an army and completely pushed them off the land. And now they're genociding them and so on because they believe they're superior and everyone else is inferior. If you believed this stuff, you could see why it'd actually be like, oh, we've got a big problem here. The problem is everything he's saying is idiotic nonsense. What has he said that is actually factually correct, AP? What has he said at any point that we've seen so far? What is he saying that is factually correct? I can't recall anything.
He said he's 80 years old.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
DC Isaac said Nick Fuentes is intelligent. Unfortunately, his deeply repressed homosexuality has made him insane. Yeah, so this is also where we can disagree and with David and others, where I would say that being so self-hating about being gay, for example, can lead to some serious results. Being so repressive and hateful about it and so judgmental toward yourself there can lead to some serious harm and serious results, as you can see with Daniel Gikichu and Nick Fuentes, for example. So yeah, this is one of those issues. But of course, we can have a lengthy debate about this, David. Yeah. Let's see.
It's only 7 or 8% of the
Can population. I respond?
Yes, of course.
So ancient.
Back in
there you go. You can respond to him. You just have to ask his permission.
Yeah.
But back in the 19th century, that was only 7 or 8% of the
Can
population.
I respond?
Yes, of course.
So ancient Egyptian records mention Israel from 1213 BC. Religious literature records Israelites as far back as 1500 BC. As far as many Jewish people are concerned, this is where they come from. Right? Within Judaism, Israel is the Holy Land. It's the land where the faith began. Jerusalem is the holy city. For Jews, Jerusalem is at the core of their faith and their world. Now, I believe you're an atheist. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you may not understand.
See, that's the problem.
See, this is what these atheists do. They ruin everything for devout religious believers. But so, yeah, interesting. Piers is making that point. Hey, this place was Israel. It's similar to the point I made from the Quran, that you have dozens of references to the children of Israel being sent to take control of the land and so on. So the question is, if you want to say these Palestinians should be given the land back because they were there before recent Jews came from your, okay, how far do you push that back? Because Roger acknowledges that there were always Jews there. He acknowledged that part. It's like the first thing that he got right, that there were always Jews there. But why wouldn't you say, hey, the people who had it even before that should get it, or the people who like you guys, we're kind of making up rules here. And if you want to say you're going to make up this rule, why not make up this rule? Like the idea that no, whoever was on a piece of land 90, 100 years ago, the land has to go back to that person, regardless of what's happened since then, and regardless of how many people would die as a result, as a consequence of going back. Do you do that everywhere else? Because guess what? Land changes hands quite a bit in the world, ladies and gentlemen. It changes hands. At what point do you just want to say, oh, this group had it before, therefore we need to, even though this population has been born and raised there, they now have to leave, and we have to give it back to people who grew up in a completely different part, but their great grandparents were there, therefore they have to get it back. This is insane, and we don't do it anywhere else on the planet except this one spot. And Roger Waters doesn't want to do it anywhere else he doesn't want to apply this rule anywhere else on the planet except this one spot. And the question is, why? Why is this one spot the only place in the world where you're applying this rule? Just seems like because it's convenient for blasting away at Jews.
This reminds me of something I saw earlier today that I actually woke up to. And that is this here.
Nice.
A post with now 10,000 likes.
Nice.
10,000 likes.
Let's get it to 1 million.
10,000 likes and 500,000 views by some Jew-hating surprise account.
That's funny.
That depicts a a severely altered version of me with a very huge nose.
What, your hair?
I wonder if some people actually think I look like that. Like, does that look realistic? Do you think that's possible?
No, but it's still funny though.
Maybe there are people who have noses like that. I don't know. You know what's funny to me?
Turkish people.
Yeah, Turkish people have noses like that. So,
dude, that should be on your thumbnail, dude. How's that not on your thumbnail? With Roger Waters pointing at you and saying "die."
That's true. I should put that on there. So, apparently, somebody took the time and thought, "Hey, I want to put some big nose on this guy because he's a Jew, in my opinion." So, and created this picture of me and said, "The Dunme Jews created and controlled the Young Turks movement, which was responsible for the fall of the Ottoman Empire and the genocide of Armenians, Greeks, and Assyrians." Now, this is an extremely, extremely messed up way of creating or propagating another conspiracy theory and blaming everything that happened on Jews. It's just, it's beyond insane at this moment.
I mean, we've already seen the Jews are behind 9/11. The Jews are training. U.S. police officers to kill black people. But the Jews are also responsible for the Islamic invasion of Western nations. The Jews are actually behind that to destroy those nations, and that's why Jews are making sure that people who hate Jews most are actually taking over entire nations and so on. It's it's only a few million of them, but man, they're behind everything.
This is actually the funny thing is The funny thing is, I grew up hearing about this group that
you never grew up
Jews. In fact, I heard about this group, this conspiracy about the Dunme Jews from my own father, right? From my own Turkish Muslim father. Growing up, I heard that that some of the things that happened in Turkey are probably the works of these Jews who secretly pretended to be Muslims to get away, but then continued their evil satanic work inside the Turkish population and are probably responsible for a lot of bad stuff that is going on today. This is actually a conspiracy theory that I heard when I was a child. This is what I heard from my own father. And here I am, many years later, decades later, here I am today, seeing that some insane people actually made a photoshopped version of me and put me on here as an example of these Dönme Jews. Which is just hilarious to me. I don't know. People are absolutely insane. This group actually goes back to, so there was this guy called Sabbatai Tzvi who claimed to be the Messiah, and he was, I think, until that point he was respected. After that point, with also claiming to be overly mystical and magical, he received some rejection from the Jewish community, and he created a cult and and moved into Western Turkey somewhere, where he then started having a number of followers who did believe that he is not just the Messiah, but something even more superior to that. Anyway, I believe the Ottoman authorities saw him as a threat at some point, and forcibly forced him and his followers to convert to Islam, and he then officially converted. But the suspicion was that that these people only converted to survive, but that they secretly practiced their Jewish religion still, which is why they were called the Dönme, and Dönme means somebody who is it's something like an apostate, actually. That's funny, thinking about it now. That's funny, thinking about it now.
That's the funniest thing ever.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what this is about. But these guys actually did this. It's very, very interesting to me. You know what's also interesting about this whole nose thing?
You're spending half this show complaining about it?
No. Something very interesting is that a lot of people of Arab origin, of Middle Eastern origin, actually use this meme about the supposed Jewish nose to talk about Jews. You know what the problem is with that? This whole idea that Jews have big noses or hooked noses is a stereotype that is, by the way, completely false, and was created in Europe, because the idea was that these Jews, they come from the Middle East, from far away, which is why they all have these big noses, these hooked noses. There is no research, by the way, on this, to get very nerdy about it, which shows that Jews, whenever they live in an environment with other people, don't have bigger or hooked noses in comparison to others. That's a complete nonsense. That's a myth. However, the Europeans thought about the Jews as Middle Eastern people, which is why they apparently have such noses. So when Arabs come here and make jokes about noses, what exactly are they doing? This is about as stupid and a very clear reflection of how these discussions generally go with these pro-Palestine people. It's all based on complete stupidity.
You should change the name of this live stream to AP Shocks Everyone by Exposing Lie About Big Noses on Jews. Title of that. Million views.
Yes, I will get that. I will do that. I should clip that and post that with a big thumbnail of myself with a nose.
Or accept that, but that is how millions of people in Israel feel. They believe this is their original holy land. Now, I think that the displacement of the Palestinians back in 1948 was appalling. I also think the simultaneous virtually displacement of many Jewish people from their homes was also appalling. All of it was appalling. And you can create a narrative that would be supportive of both sides and critical of the other sides. But there's no doubting that Jewish people believe this is their holy land too, in the way that many Palestinians do.
I haven't read that book, I admit. And I'm not sure I want to, because I've only got a few years. Well, how many years?
Is he talking about the Bible?
Yeah.
I think he's talking about the Bible.
Got left.
You're doing better than the President of the United States, aren't you?
I beg your pardon?
You're doing a lot better than the President of the United States.
Yes, I am.
Your mental acuity appears to be much
anyway,
sharper. Fair point, Piers. Fair point.
Let me finish. All of what you're saying, though, maybe it will be fascinating to historians and Jewish scholars and scholars of other religions, but it's completely irrelevant to the genocide that is going on now in the West Bank and Gaza.
It's not irrelevant to the...
There's a genocide in the West Bank, too? Both places? Wow.
He just talked about how the Israelis are not indigenous people, whereas the local Palestinians are indigenous people.
Wait, the Arabs?
Yeah.
The Arabs who came there from Arabia?
Yeah. Piers Morgan then countered that with the history of the Jewish people and their connection to the land as indigenous people, upon which Roger then responded with, okay, but that's not really relevant to the genocide issue.
Why Jewish people, when you say you should
it's not irrelevant to why they think they have a right to commit genocide.
No, I didn't say that.
What is all this stuff from Egypt?
No, I'm just going to say that, again, referring to the quote from your own mouth, when you say to 7 million people, go back to Eastern Europe, the United States, or wherever you came from, many will believe, if not most of people in Israel will believe, that this is where they originally came from.
What I say in that little video is, I think you made a terrible mistake. And I think you should now say, we're sorry, it was a terrible mistake. Just look at what's happened. This is obviously a completely failed experiment. Zionism, the whole thing is a failed experiment. And we're going to leave you to live your lives in your country. Maybe a few of us will stay, or maybe we'll all stay, but we all have to live together with equal...
Nope, that's not what you said. What you said was that Israelis will have to apologize and say, okay, we give you your land back, and we will go back to Eastern Europe and America and wherever we belong. That's what you said. You didn't say any of the things that you just said. That's what you said.
It's just insane that he's saying this failed experiment of what? Building a modern, developed democracy in the Middle East that is light years ahead of what existed there a century ago? Constantly building?
I'm going to end this whole review here with one thing, which is that I don't care what you say. Oh boy, actually, there's much more here about October 7th. But hey, I don't care what you say about any of this. I don't care where you stand on any of this stuff. Israel is the most advanced nation far and wide in the region. Israel is one of the most advanced nations in the world. Israel is one of the most successful nations in the world. Israel is one of the happiest nations.
But success is failure. And so it's failed.
Israel is also one of the major contributors to tech, to development, to science, and so on in the world. People around the world use Jewish products not because Jews are like, oh, let's suppress everyone else's products and only sell out. No, it's because they produce things, because they do things, because it works. Look at the nations around Israel. Do they look successful? Do they look like they really got things going for them? Do they really look good? No. Is Israel at fault for that? No, because they are failures. They fail. Is Israel a failure? No. Israel is amazing. Okay, and I don't care what anybody says. I went there. We went there. We saw it for ourselves. We see the effects. We see everything else in the world that is going on there. If you actually think that Israel is the problem here, then you are ignorant and you are a problem. Israel is amazing. Okay, Israel is amazing. Israel is fantastic.
Sarah said in the chat, Israelis are horrible at failing. It's like they're terrible. These Israelis are awful at two things: genocide and failing.
Yeah,
they just can't get those things right.
Maybe I should talk like him to make it more effective, more dramatic. Wait, hold on a second. I have a solution to this. He obviously knows what he's doing because he records videos that are very, 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 very well done. He obviously knows what he's doing. Let's see. Let me find some music here. Got some music here. Audience. Let's see. Oh, that's not right. That's not good. It's not good enough. Got to find something better, something more dramatic here. Okay. Yeah, everybody, listen to me.
You're too loud.
Listen to me. People just have to realize that after a while, there is just not much going on for them. And Israel is the only one that is actually successful in this region. So how about you apologize? How about all those who attack Israel apologize and piss off? How about they just piss off and they let these people be? Let them live in peace. Let them build. How about that? Wouldn't that be fantastic? Wouldn't that be absolutely fantastic? Yeah? And stay away from Islam. Yeah? Was that good enough?
That was better.
Yeah. Wow, good. Alhamdulillah. That was almost as good as his video here. I have to work on this though, but look at this, the comparison here. Let's see.
Wrong, and we are now leaving. Okay, we'll go back to Eastern Europe.
We're also going to switch to black and white.
Wherever we came from, and leave these people, the Palestinian people.
Hey! Leave these people alone.
Yeah, maybe it is time to realize. It's time to realize that it's time to go home. Yeah, I'm so sad right now. Anyway, this is so stupid.
How many years I've got left?
You're doing better than the president.
What?
United States, aren't you?
I beg your pardon?
You're doing a lot better.
All of the religions, but it's completely irrelevant to the genocide that is going on now in the West Bank and Gaza.
But it's not a... You believe, if not most of people in Israel will believe, that this is where...
I don't care about what your history books from Egypt. I'm not saying you're wrong. I haven't read them. And frankly, that's all. I.e., I'm going to keep dragging this conversation back to these two things. Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the genocide that the state of Israel is committing on the Palestinian people. And I don't care about what your history books from Egypt. I'm not saying you're wrong. I haven't read them. And frankly, I couldn't care less.
But I thought you did care about reading and getting more knowledgeable.
See, there you go. You're so clever.
I just remembered what you said. It's not that clever. It just says I've got a good memory.
Do you know what? No.
This guy shouldn't be talking about any of this, man. This guy is... I don't know. He shouldn't be talking about any of this. We should just remember him for the music he wrote. That's it. He shouldn't be around anymore. I just want to look at one.
You're right. It wasn't that clever. It's either all right or it's not. And it doesn't matter what.
2023.
Of the Israelites.
I'm coming to this.
Okay.
Let's go back to October the 7th, 2023, when the Hamas attacks occurred. George Galloway was here last week, and he described them as terror attacks. Do you agree with that?
I'm not going to have this conversation. I've seen you have it with everybody, and you're. It's a waste of time.
Why?
Because you always reach the same conclusions, and you always waste 10 or 12 minutes.
Let's waste 1 minute. All I ever ask people is, do you condemn what Hamas did?
I condemn the killing of civilians, always, whoever does it, wherever it is. I condemn war crimes. If Hamas committed war crimes on October the 7th, I condemn. You referred earlier. Excuse me.
If you ask somebody whether they condemn what happened on October 7, and they then say, if Hamas committed war crimes, I condemn it, this is not a condemnation of what Hamas actually did. This is like saying, for example, ask a Nazi, do you condemn the Holocaust? And they say, well, if the Nazis, if the Nazis unjustly killed 6 million Jews, then yeah, I condemn that. Then they're not really condemning what happened. They're probably denying what happened and thereby not condemning it. And denying is about as bad as approving of it or justifying it. Because when you deny it, that means you are giving the perpetrators the ability to get away with things like that and freeing them, at least in your own sphere, from the responsibility of being punished or held responsible for what they did. So denying atrocities is as bad as committing them, or as bad as advocating for them.
You referred earlier to my conversation with Glenn Greenwald, which happened in December last year, and I was taken to task after that because on his program, and this was only a few weeks after October the 7th, I said,
"Oh no, David is back."
I would love to know what happened on October the 7th.
You know what happened? Your terrorists committed terrorist attacks, and no free Palestine. By the way, from the river to the sea, I hope all of it will be Israel. That's it. How about that? Yes, for some reason I just crashed.
Yeah, and now there's two of you.
What is happening?
There's a blurry one and a clear one.
What is going on here? This stream is getting really weird. It's the Jews. Huh. How is it even happening? I don't get it. Oh no. Anyway, do you hear me twice now?
No, just once.
Okay, good.
Fortunately.
Good. Okay, the other one left. Good.
Bye.
Good. The other one, I didn't want that guy here anyway. That's funny. I just closed one tab and then everything shut down. That's hilarious. So, David, what do you think about Roger Wadger?
Great songwriter, great musician, terrible person, awful, terrible thinker. I would just have to agree with everything that David Gilmour's wife said about him.
Thank you. Ayatollah Khamenei said, want to know what modern Christianity would look like on the Muslims? Look at Turkey. They closed the Orthodox seminary and seized church property. Well, if you're Christian, then why are you in a Muslim country? Go to your own country. Go to your own countries. Muslim countries are only for Muslim countries, and your countries are also for Muslim countries. Ayatollah Khamenei said Palestine ruled by Islam with no Israel would mean all our holy places would be seized and Islamized. Any Christians saying otherwise are enemies. I wouldn't call them enemies. I would just call them stupid. Calypso 24. Progressives and Palestinians fetishize victimhood and martyrdom. It's like a satanic mockery of Christianity, even if unintended. It's kind of like child sacrifice and Islamic martyrdom at the same time. David always says that that Palestine is a child sacrifice cult. I would never say that. I would never say such a thing, but David always says that. Yeah.
It is. That's what paganism always reverts to.
Yeah. Knows too much said, you will sooner see the sun setting in a muddy spring before ever seeing a prominent pro-Palestinian ideology that isn't the dishonest scumbag. Yeah. That's entirely true. Changes comes from within says these Pink Floyd were part of initial leftist propaganda, anti-Yahweh and pro-UN world peace. Yeah. I don't know about that. This guy just strikes me as totally insane at this point. I don't know. But David says he's right, so who am I to judge? F. Pereira 21 said they believe Jews are ontologically evil. This war has turned my Maronite friends into Zionists. Roger Waters wore Nazi outfit, Berlin show 27/05/2023. To be fair, he apparently wore it to make a point about to part of performance and was getting into character, but maybe he was very comfortable in those clothes. I don't know. Maronite friends into Zionists. Yep. Telegraph.
Hey, little side note. It is hard getting a Nazi costume, man.
It is, yeah.
I looked around getting one for you to play Hitler and in the Boom Boom Room, and it is pretty darn hard to find a Nazi costume.
Really?
Yeah, like you can't find them on like Amazon. Obviously, you can't find them at costume stores and so on. It's like, wait a minute. I mean, they appear in movies and stuff like this. There's got to be a place where you get them.
Yeah. What? And I'm just looking it up, and the first result says not for purchase, only available for film productions and stuff like that. That's funny. That is, or we can just build our own Nazi costume, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I guess we can. No, that place is in Europe.
Yeah. Yes. Jewish people longed to Zion, mentioning it in every prayer for 2,000 years, only so they could teach U.S. police how to kill George Floyd. Of course, this was the whole idea of Zionism the entire time. Zionism actually started, and the whole idea of Jewish people saying next year in Jerusalem, for example, that is a custom, and Jews longing for the return to the Holy Land. Or even like in the Psalms, when you read about Jews on their travels praising Jerusalem and speaking of the home of our people, or the house of God and all of that, when they're talking about that, like when the Psalms talk about these things, all of that was just to kill George Floyd. That's basically what it is. David should probably know this as well if he knows the Bible a little bit. He could confirm to you that the Psalms especially are about the plan to kill George Floyd in the future. That's pretty much what happened. That's what they do. Right, David?
Yes.
Yeah. See, and David is a doctor. Moshe Cohen said, yes, Roger, I don't hate Jews, and I accidentally Sieg Heil in the Mirror Waters got kicked out of Pink Floyd. Luckily for us, it wasn't art school. I almost called it King Floyd. I don't know why.
I mean, really, it does suck his insane nonsense, because that's the reason. He's the reason you don't have a real Pink Floyd tour anymore. That dude.
Really?
Yeah. You can't have another Pink Floyd tour because of that dude.
That's based. They would probably suck anyway. So, Knows Too Much said, in the presidential debate, Trump essentially called Biden a Palestinist weakling. It was the perfect move. It was not too bad.
Yeah, but he's a bad Palestinian. That's why they don't like him very much.
Not a good Palestinian.
He's a good little Hamas toy. That's what he is.
There was this clip of him from a while ago. There are some funny people who expect Trump to come in and not be pro-Israel, which is very, very dumb. I mean, the early days in October, Trump was pretty outspoken about his stance on the whole war, and he was saying that Israel has to go in and destroy Hamas completely, and that's the only solution. There is no other way. It's basically what he was saying. Michigan Tricka said, Roger Waters, another anti-Semitic prick in the wall. That is based. But David is very offended by that because he likes everything about Pink Floyd. Yeah. That's what they do. That's what they do. Jacobin, what do you guys make of Alexander Dugin, Putin's spiritual advisor, who recently claimed that the state of Russia should fund Hamas and Hezbollah? Did he say that?
Sounds stupid.
But if he's the spiritual advisor, then how can you call it stupid? See? In your face. Sankey, UK's gay capital Brighton just got a Muslim mayor, 2% Muslim. Many MPs won just saying free Palestine. It's over. AP team stays winning. Optimists humiliated.
Get a bunker, everyone. Get a bunker. Find a little plot of land in the middle of nowhere.
There was a funny image coming out of the UK election campaigns that I recently saw. In it, which was pointing out how absurd it is that that in the UK it seems like those Islamists and the LGBTQIA people are on the same side. Well, look at this. Look at this here. This guy said, still makes me laugh that this is the 2024 Green Party coalition. This is just so stupid. I don't know,
man. Some of this might be coming out in Muhammad Meets Queers for Palestine. We will draw some attention to some absurdities.
Hey, did you see that Candace Owens recently said that she is not a flat earther or a round earther because she doesn't believe in
science is a
science?
cult.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about that, David? Do you agree with her? Because
I now want to know what it, no matter what, if there's a bunch of people that believe something, I now want to know what it is that they believe.
Because those people are potential viewers of my podcast.
Wow.
Of course, he pushed me on this, and he was talking about the Earth curvature and science. And I said to him, listen, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Actually, what I am is I am somebody who has left the cult of science. I have left the mega church of science, because what I have now realized is that science, what it is actually, if you think about it, is a pagan faith. No matter what.
wow, this is so insightful, David. Do you agree with her, David?
Science is a pagan faith. She is surrounded by science. If she needs medical treatment, that is science.
No, medical treatment is pagan faith. Right?
Mm-hmm.
See, you're wrong.
Is it just me, or like every week does she sound dumber?
That's what I said. That's literally what I said.
Like every new thing from her, she sounds dumber, and it's like, but she's not getting dumber, so she was always dumb. It's just rising to the surface more so now.
No, she's just getting dumber, I think. I don't know. Must be getting dumber. That can be the only explanation to this. It's kind of funny that we're both called exposure therapists, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure who invented
That's what we are.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Urinating upon one another. That's what they do.
Skitten said, thanks you. No, thanks you. Thanks to you very much. Change comes from within. Prophecy from Yahweh about Ishmael and his ancestors, a wild man who will be against everyone and everyone against him. PC version. I don't know if you can interpret it that way. Like David seems kind of offended about that. Moo Joe said, what these fake humanitarian Roger Waters, Candace and Co., or is this right wing? I don't know. Candace and Co. doing is not just calling for general of Israel, but also glorifying the animals that did 10-7 and now went back and do the same to the Pell. They made the Pell abusers richer, heroes stat. Yep, that is true. That is true. And anyone who actually stands with these, with the October 7 rapists, stands with terrorism and should be treated as such. As somebody who stands with terrorism. Telegraph, hey, how about Americans go back to Africa, Ireland, and Italy and give the whole thing back to the indigenous people? They should, yeah. They should. They should. I'm totally for it. I think Americans should get out and go back where they belong. To Europe and Africa and all the other places. I say this because as a person of Turkish origin, I might be related to Native Americans in a very distant way. So therefore, I can probably stay here, while David probably has to go back to Europe. So that's that. Mina Hill said, hey guys, this is my first super chat, and I want to say thanks for opening my eyes up to Islam. I used to be a Muslim, but now I'm a proud Christian. Well, if this was David's channel, there would be a button now that said hallelujah. But it's not David's channel, so congratulations.
Yeah, say something on my channel tomorrow so you can get a proper response.
Yeah. Hallelujah. Monkey Mike, another thing that's a problem in the West is that Westerners look upon the conflict in Palestine through the lens of Westerners. They absolutely do not understand the religious zeal and hatred in the region. Yeah, and some people fall for this, even people like leftist people like Destiny, for example, who are normally pretty much pro-Israel in different ways, even fall for this and fail to see how Islam is involved in this. I recently saw Destiny, but people pointed it out to me. He was saying, I don't think Islam has much to do with this. I don't think Islam has much to do with the conflict. He doesn't get it. People don't get it. Even people who see the problem on the other side, who see the terrorism on the other side and the hate, don't understand the influence and the impact of Islam and the role of Islam in all of this. I would say that Islam is a major reason why the conflict is going on, and is a major reason why it is so bloody. And in fact, if Palestinian Muslims, if the Palestinian Arab Muslims collectively converted to Christianity tomorrow, the conflict would suddenly turn much less bloody and would probably resolve in a better way. Totally. And it's true because I say it. Yeah. Ligamathigayon said AP makes a great point about communist delusion. Our ideas won't catastrophically fail with starvation and destruction again. Add to this, the Islamists won't turn on us again. They're just stupid, man. I don't know. But David thinks communism is a great idea, so I don't know. Panchman's Roger Waters, what a tool. Yeah. But David likes Roger Waters. That's the problem. Yadu Krishnan said, if they want Jews to leave Israel, Muslims should leave the Indian subcontinent. We will gladly give entire Pakistan and Bangladesh to Jews.
There are Jews who would take that deal. That's what I heard the first trip I took over there. We're talking to he was an IDF guy, and he said the question for us is always, okay, what's the actual deal? And he says, we have a saying, what's the deal? Tell us what the deal is. You want this? Tell us what we're getting in return. And even said, he goes, you want Jerusalem? Tell me what the deal is, right? Like what am I getting in exchange for Jerusalem? He said, we would be willing to make the deal if it was worth it. So yeah, they might go for that.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Ray to the T said, why does AP usually use a southern accent when he's reading Christian super chats?
Because that's what he thinks of Christians.
Yeah. Aren't all Christians from the South?
Mm-hmm.
No, serious. I thought that's how Christianity started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Mina Hill said, it's still so crazy to me that the Islamic world is complaining about genocide and colonialism when they have been the champions of it since 7th century. Yeah, they have been. And it's not even, and it hasn't ended. And they don't feel bad about it at all. I mean, show me one proud Muslim who actually acknowledges these things and feels bad about them. No. And it is still part of Muslim propaganda whenever there is an issue with Israel going on to, in the future, eradicate the Jews. That is the promise. That's the goal. So genocide is part of the religion. Genocide is part of the religion. Islam is genocidal. That's it. That's it. Alhamdulillah. Zach Matusek said South is full of them, but not all from their AP. Yeah, I think you're making this up. Christianity started in the southern US states. Pretty sure that's true. The Mad Philosopher said, hey AP, what do you think about the English Premier League? You mean the Premier League? Stopping the matches in order for Muslims to pray mid-match for Ramadan. Well, is that an actual thing that happened? Because if so, then that is very stupid. I mean, if you play sports and you realize that you can't really keep up with it and do it because your Islamic practices get in the way, then maybe you should choose one of those two things, right? That's very dumb. I don't think that should be a rule at all. Puli Tevar said Holocaust is Jewish conspiracy theory. Roger, probably. Man, the guy's just so dumb. It's on this stuff. Which is why he shouldn't be talking about it. They call him, hey AP, one of Turkey's players, it's Turkey. Hey AP, one of Turkey's players got suspended from today's Euros game for making the wolf sign in a prior game. What is this wolf sign? The wolf sign is this sign here, which goes like this. And that is a sign in Turkey.
Screenshot everyone.
That's a sign in Turkey that is a sign of the Turkish nationalists, the Turkish ultra nationalists. And when we speak of nationalism, Western people shouldn't understand this just as regular nationalism. When we speak of nationalism in Turkish terms, it's not just nationalism. It's not just, oh, we're proud to be Turkish and yeah, well, we'll do everything to protect our country and all that. That's not what that is. It's known as ultra nationalism, which is the nationalist norm in Turkey, and it's incredibly hateful and racist in serious ways. I don't often use hateful and racist in describing things, but when we talk about Turkey and nationalism, it's a serious thing. I recently mentioned this, but if Western people heard some of the things that Turkish nationalists normally say, they would probably have a heart attack and die or something. I don't know, but so nationalism in Turkey is pretty crazy, and there is a movement, the nationalist movement, that has been using this sign as a wolf forever, and the wolf goes back to the whole myth of Turkic people having something to do with the gray wolf in East Asia. But this movement did this whole sign when they committed some major atrocities over the decades, including a brutal atrocity that is remembered in Sivas in the 90s, where they set a hotel on fire and killed a bunch of people, Alevis and others. Including, they tried to actually kill the guy who translated the Satanic Verses book into Turkish. That's what they are. Anyway, so they're terrorists. They should be recognized as terrorists. Robin Hood, and they're crying about it. That they're crying because there are consequences for making the sign in Europe, which just shows that they don't really understand Europe and shouldn't be a proper part of it. It's basically like going into a match and doing the Hitler salute, and then thinking, but why? It's not even. It just means we're proud. Robin Hood, tuning in late. Y'all are on fire tonight. AP, incredible point. We've had real genocide in the last 80 years. Unbelievable, cheapening the word genocide. Yeah, there is no genocide happening in this region. The only genocide that did happen and was attempted was October 7. It was October 7. Yes. Benny Morris says Palestinians are indigenous. He's not saying that they are the indigenous people of the land. So I know what you're talking about. It's a very, very multifaceted, layered thing. But there is a mix of a lot of the people there being, tracing their ancestry back to the people who lived there 1,000 years ago, but them also being very, very mixed. It doesn't really mean that those people are uniquely indigenous. They are very mixed. That's what they are. Monkey Mike, Arafat declined the two-state solution simply because he needed people to keep funneling money into Gaza and the West Bank to make him rich. Now Hamas leaders is doing the same. That's one aspect of it. I would say that there is also, of course, the whole idea that Arafat couldn't have accepted a two-state solution, because had he actually accepted a two-state solution, there were already massive rejections and condemnations against it, including by Hamas and other movements. But had he accepted it, it would have caused immediate infighting, because it would be seen as betrayal, because you are actually agreeing, you're actually making concessions with the Jews and all that. And you can't do that.
That would be that is kind of a double problem, and makes you think there is no solution here. Because on the one hand, anyone who compromises with the Jews is going to be in trouble, going to be in quite a bit of trouble for compromising with the Jews, or really adopting any position other than complete Islamic control of the area. So that's one issue. But the other issue is, this thing that we have the same thing among, politicians and so on in the West. But anytime you have someone who's livelihood depends on them being the go-to person for this problem, is it really in their best interest to fix the problem?
No.
Yeah, that's kind of an ongoing thing. If you so let's suppose that your status, your livelihood is all dependent on you being the solution to, let's say, problems of racism. Would it be in your best interest to fix that problem if that's the only reason that you have wealth and fame? So anyway, that's an ongoing problem. You don't want to be, you can't solve a problem if you being the go-to person on that problem is how you function.
Black Angel.
I'm glad you find bestiality amusing, AP. Okay.
Black Angel's takeaway from all that discussion is, in short, Turks are basically proud of bestiality. You know what's funny? You say that, and I'm not sure if you say that because you know something, but there is the whole the gray wolf myth that, if you take it to the extremes, goes back to this whole old Turkic mythology idea that actually the Turkic peoples at some point were at the brink of going extinct, and
someone humped a wolf,
being killed into oblivion against the Chinese or something like that. But then something happened with a wolf, and there are of course different theories. But I don't know if a wolf just raised one of them, or if a wolf actually copulated with one of them. I don't know what happened, but yeah. Alhamdulillah.
And these are the people who think they're superior to everyone else.
Man. Let's see what it says here. Let me have a look here. Let me have a look what Wikipedia says about this. I haven't read about this stuff in a long while. Asena is the name of a she-wolf associated with the Göktürk Foundation myth. The ancestress of the Göktürks is a she-wolf mentioned yet unnamed in 2 different wolf tales. The legend of Asena tells of a young boy who survived a battle. A female wolf finds the injured child and nurses him back to health. The she-wolf impregnated by... See? I didn't make it up. See? It's right there.
Bound a wolf?
See, I didn't make it up. You see? The she-wolf, impregnated by the boy, escapes her enemies by crossing the Western Sea to a cave near Kocho Mountains and a city of the Tokharians, giving birth to 10 half-wolf, half-human boys. Of these, Yiji Nishidu becomes their leader and establishes the Ashina clan, which ruled over the Göktürk and other Turkic nomadic empires. You see, I didn't make it up. The whole idea is, so basically, we're proud. Our ancestry humped a wolf, and that's where we came from. How dare you? We're better than you. We hump wolves. Anyway, yeah.
So can I call Turkish people wolf humpers from now on?
Nope, can't do that. There are 57 Islamic countries, but only one Jewish state. Yet the Islamic world still won't stop victimizing themselves. I'm tired of this soap story. You need to stop oppressing all the Islamic nations. No. Yeah. Someone please create a wolf hub account. Michael Beacon, entertainers should be seen, not heard, especially in politics. A dance for the camera clown. Yeah, it's just a common thing that people think because somebody got famous for one thing, for creativity, for art, whatever it is, they are now we should now listen to them in all other fields. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's dumb. And David explained that in much better words than just "it's stupid, it's dumb" early on. So if you prefer to waste your time with a lengthy explanation instead of just saying "it's stupid, it's dumb," you can also go and check that out. Yeah. Henchman said, Einat Wolf Hilleneuer. I don't know why he posted these things, but yes, both of these people are awesome. Pretty good people. And I had Einat on my own channel as well. Knows too much. Jews and Samaritans are the indigenous people of the land, as proved by mountains of evidence. Jews also lived in Gaza City for centuries until 1922. Yep. See, knows too much, knows too much. Drew Traver, Roger Waters' time to shine as the sexy grandpa musician as the campus protest is like Daniel Akikichu's time to shine as a sexy preschool teacher. I don't know, man. Paradox, appropriate you guys. Thank you so much. I appropriate you too. Sega Boy, Funkadelic was always better than Stink Floyd. Yeah.
Do not agree to that.
I don't agree with that. Eduardo Ventura, Dr. Wood, I have a nasty, violent diarrhea. As a doctor, can you help me? Any prescription? Please, my toilet can't take anymore. David, what is your suggestion as a doctor?
Get some Pepto-Bismol.
See, there you go. There you go.
That'll be $49.95.
Yeah. Byzantine Warrior said, first time here, you guys are courageous. Keep shining that spotlight on darkness. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Why'd you go Scottish?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just going anything right now. It's Australia. Maybe it's a Scottish person from Australia. Ayatollah Khamenei says Tarun Taj is back and is touting the IQ restorative effects of kale. Sad. Is he propagating vegan stuff again here?
Why is everyone randomly attacking Tarun?
Because of the vegan things. Like, well, why can't vegans just leave us alone and let us live in?
Vegans, leave these streams alone.
Eduardo Ventura said, I don't get it. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. DC eyes like me when announcements drag on at Shabbat so long that it's 12:15 and Kiddush still hasn't started. Not a single Jew in the planet can be trusted.
You see? You see? She's saying she's superior to all other people and that all other people have to be genocided.
You see. There's something that is this a common thing that Jews generally do? But there's something that Jews sing on Sabbath. I think on Sabbath.
They're called songs, AP. That's what people sing.
I know, but there's this one song which sounds amazing. It's I forgot how it starts. Anyway, I'll remember in a bit. Change comes from within. Say, if what us believes Palestinians are indigenous, what are his sources? Can he prove that? If it's because the Bible says so, then why is he following the Bible? It does not make sense.
There's nothing in the Bible that says Palestinians are indigenous.
Palestinians are indigenous to the Palestinian state that was announced in 1988.
Yeah, guys, Palestinians as a people group was invented in the second half of the 20th century. There were people there. There were Arab Muslims or Arab Christians. There are people from all around the Ottoman Empire who were living there. And eventually people realized for propaganda purposes, it helps a lot in the mind of Westerners if you say, oh, there were a group there called the Palestinians and they had a Palestinian state and Jews came and stole it, that having that victim status would help you for propaganda purposes. And have to say, they were entirely correct. That did help with a lot of people.
Ah, I remember. Yafit Doron, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, something like that.
They copied Assalamu Alaikum.
Yes. Anyway, beautiful song. Beautiful song. Yes. Monkey Mark said, there's two of AP. You see, this is the proof he's not real. I know. Sometimes I see him all the time. He always walks around with me whispers things to me like what I should do and shouldn't do and all that. It's kind of weird. Some people say I'm crazy. I don't believe him. Stupid. Brock K said, AP, how long you been an ex-Muslim? I was an ex-Muslim about, how long has it been, man? I don't even know. I think it's been 10 years now. Wow. It's been 10 years? Feels like yesterday. Feels like yesterday. Sid Dave, Turkish mob took care of a Syrian in Pakistan and molested a Turkish mini girl. Ummah loves each other. Non-Muslims should do the same. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest being vigilant and taking things into your own hands. I did see that that crowds in Turkey went after 2 refugees that were accused of a certain thing, but no, wouldn't suggest anything like that at all. There's a reason why in modern societies it has been outlawed to take the law into your own hands, because you can on certain occasions where it's clear what the other side actually did, you could justify that, right? You could justify taking the law into your own hands and going out and punishing people. However, if you legitimize that and if you actually allow that to happen, how long until people start making false accusations and then taking the law into their own hands and going after random people and forming mobs and so on? Can't do that. But David thinks otherwise, but don't listen to David. Pamela C. AP, David would respond to a Muslim when he tells you there is no freedom here in USA, but there is freedom in Uzbekistan. He said he is here for the money. Who's that?
Yeah, I've never heard anyone say anything so ridiculous, so I don't know why I'd be responding to it. The first thing I would do is say, what do you mean by there's no freedom? What the heck are you talking about? Like what? What do you mean? Am I allowed to walk down the street? Do people vote here? What do you mean by no freedom? What are you talking about? You'd have to clarify. Yeah, so Pamela C., the first thing I would do is start asking questions, because that's making stupid claims, making people clarify stupid claims is usually enough to destroy them.
Yeah.
Uzbekistan, my goodness.
America is generally not a very free country. Everyone is being oppressed all the time. I don't know. I see people sometimes when I go to the store, for example, especially me as a person who is visibly a person of color. When I go to the store and I get a bunch of things, I expect to just walk out there and take everything with me for free. But they're asking me for money. For example, I'm supposed to go in and pay. Why? So yeah, this is one of the major problems in America. Mateo said, a false dichotomy. Islam and Rabbinic Jews both persecuting Christians in the Holy Land, both equally satanic. What world are you living in?
They might be thinking about that one group we've seen videos of and we heard about.
What world are you living in?
Yeah, so there is this one sect which we've seen described as 1% of 1%. So there's a tiny group there that basically spits in the direction of Christians. Guys,
what world are you living in?
I have to say that group is frowned upon by most of the population anyway. But I have to say I take spitting in my direction over brutally murdering me the way jihadis do any day of the week.
What world are you living in?
With that said, yeah, I'm talking to you. The one group that does that, stop that. It's disgusting. Stop embarrassing yourself. So we're consistent here. If someone's doing something messed up, then someone's doing something messed up. So yeah, guys, stop that. Stop that nasty practice of spitting in the direction of Christians. Gross, and you should be exposed.
Which 2 people do. Yeah. Yeah.
But the idea that this is in the same ballpark with jihad is just insane.
Dear person here, did you ever ask Christians in Israel if they are persecuted and how they feel about it?
I did. I did a whole interview with a Christian who's been doing evangelism in Israel for decades now.
And was he being brutally persecuted?
No, he said he gave one example. He gave one example of a time where he was actually persecuted. He said Jews are actually interested when he explains why he became a Christian and so on. After 20 years, he was able to. After 20 years of evangelism in Israel, he was able to give an example of this group that we're talking about right here, who had a problem.
I would just recommend one thing, which is enter the words into a Google search. Are Christians happy in Israel? And search. Go for the first few results. You don't even have to trust me, right? I'm not here to propagate any of that. You don't have to trust me. Search, are Christians happy in Israel? And go for the first searches. I know exactly what will pop up because I have looked as well. And you will hear from Christians themselves in Israel. And the results you will get is that the vast majority, over 84% of Christians, say they are very happy and satisfied in Israel. And in fact, you will also find that the highest education level among by religious group is among, I think it's Christian women have the highest education level in Israel or something like that, which is very weird. How does that happen? How does that happen? Are they being oppressed into being educated or something? I don't know. It's just like when Israel genocides Palestinians into increasing their population. It's just vile, man. Can't take it. Minahil AP, will you be getting Calvin Robinson on your show anytime soon? He's awesome. It'd be great to see Tommy Robinson as well. Yeah.
That's a good suggestion. You should contact Calvin Robinson.
I should. He actually followed both of us back recently, right?
Yep. He follows us both on Twitter, so we should be able to get his attention. And yeah, Tommy, obviously.
I have been in touch with Tommy for a while now.
Let's get him on then. Let's get him on, innit?
Yeah. Been in touch with him and will collaborate in the near future. Would also like to maybe collaborate with Calvin Robinson. Here, look, it's very based. It's the very base. Look at that. Boost. It says follows you.
Extremely based.
Find yourself somebody like some leader like this. Yes. Change comes from within, says. Did you see the pregnant French woman pushed off a bus by North Africans? Pamela Gill reported on it. They are Muslims. Very disgusting. That doesn't sound like something that actually happens in Europe. Pretty sure that people who go there behave very, very well. And never heard of something like this, but I'll check it out. Yeah, we know that immigration is a very successful project. In immigration and integration is a very, very successful project in Europe. Has succeeded very, very well. The immigrating populations, especially from Muslim countries, have really integrated and really become part of the population and don't stick out at all. And they're just works perfectly well. And Europeans also have, of course, handled the whole question of immigration and different cultures and integration very, very reasonably and responsibly, and also are very, very well aware of how Islam is and how it should be treated and all of that, which is why there's also no terrorism or anything like that in Europe. And diversity is richness, and diversity is our strength. And Europeans, obviously, everyone knows, have no culture at all. No culture, nothing, no history. So obviously, you have to invite people who have who culturally enrich you, and that has been going very well. Alhamdulillah. Sid Dave said, do Turks and Iranians have an anti-Arabs racism problem?
Yes.
Iranians seem to have a racist hatred for them because of the Arab conquest. Shia Islam is a way for Iranian nationalists to settle a score with them. There is a problem. In Turkey, it's always a thing where they don't know if they actually love or hate the Arabs. And it's also an issue in Islamic history, by the way. Muslims will make it look like the Islamic empires were totally in harmony. They weren't. It's very well known that the Ottoman Empire, for example, exploited the hell out of their Arab subjects and treated them as lesser people. They didn't really like the Arab populations at all, which is why the Arab populations also eventually wanted to be free from them and create their own nations. And by the way, the supposed flag of Palestine is a flag that directly comes from the flag of the Arab revolt which came in response to the Ottoman oppression of Arab populations. So it's quite funny when proud Turkish people today support the whole Palestinian cause, because the flag itself is a sign that these people really didn't want Turks to be ruling over them anymore. So that's that. Alhamdulillah. But yeah, in Turkey there is a big problem with that, and Iranians are a whole different story. Alhamdulillah. Yaguda Basic said, Pink Floyd music is boring. Pink Floyd music is boring, tedious, and pure nonsense of a drug-induced blurb. They are irrelevant, self-absorbed characters, Piers Morgan included.
Really? Piers is part of Pink Floyd? I didn't even know that, Mrs. Expert.
Word for word, I agree completely. Piers Morgan is actually the worst member of Pink Floyd, I would say, historically.
Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon. 5 words, destroy you. Dark Side of the Moon spent almost 1,000 weeks. Almost 1,000 weeks in the Billboard Top 200 albums. That's 17 years.
And what does that say?
They spent 17 years. That was in the top 200 albums.
And what does it say? That people appreciate terrible things.
No. It's the Pink Floyd's dope. That's the record, by the way. I guess everyone in the world is wrong except you.
Well, she's right. Yeah, I would say that I wouldn't talk like this about any group except the one that is so brutally overrated. It's just, it makes me die every single time they even get mentioned, which is the Beatles. The Beatles. Like, who knows more than 2 Beatles songs? Man, what an embarrassment in human history. Shrivi said, hate your content, but love how good you guys are looking. Handsome. Is this opposite world or something?
That's what we do. That's what we do. We just sit here looking pretty.
I think this is actually the other way around.
No, but we actually make awesome content. We're not just pretty rapping. We're the total packages.
Celeria said unsubscribed. Why? Because of my factual talk about the Beatles? I don't know. It's a bunch of dorks. Like, what's even good about them? There's no song that actually is enjoyable. It's all boring stuff. The worst haircuts, worst hairstyles anyone has ever seen in the history of humanity.
That point is valid. The haircuts point is valid.
I don't know, man. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Thank you, Ayatollah. If the Ayatollah agrees with him, Beatles suck. Yeah, they were absolutely. It should have never existed. Like, if I could go back and like delete one thing from history, it would be the Beatles, probably. Not even Islam. It would be the Beatles.
You know what's funny? No, Beatles had a bunch of good songs. Hey Jude is an awesome song.
That's the only one.
I also give points. For the people who have the sickest burns of all time, and I can't think of a sicker burn than when John Lennon was completely burned up George Harrison. I think we've talked about this live before. So it's when they start splitting up, and George Harrison's girlfriend left him for Eric Clapton, right? The song Layla was written. Eric Clapton wrote the song Layla about George Harrison's girlfriend. So then she leaves George Harrison goes with Eric Clapton. And then when the band starts when things are getting a little rocky, George Harrison walks into a restaurant. There's Paul McCartney, John Lennon sitting there at the table. He walks in, he says, well, I guess that's it then. Guess I'm going our own way. And he starts walking away. And John Lennon goes, yeah, we'll just get Eric Clapton to replace you. And that was, I mean, that's messed up. His girl just left him to go to Eric Clapton. They said, we'll replace you with Eric Clapton. Would have been funny if they'd actually done it. That's brutal, man.
That's funny. That is pretty brutal. If you insult Elvis, I'm out. No, I would never insult Elvis.
Thank you very much.
Elvis was based, although he was kind of weird. And eventually, yeah. Anyway, and he had a questionable love relationship with a very young woman. Quite questionable, but that's it.
No, he wasn't banging her though. He didn't bang her until he got married. No, other chicks. That's a different
you don't know
story.
that. You don't know
Other
that.
chicks. That's what she said. That's funny. I just used "that's what she said," but I meant it. I meant the actual statement. It was the first time anyone's ever said "that's what she said." And you literally mean that's what she said.
Yes, that's what she said. Yeah. Anyway, enough about music. Music is haram. Music is haram. And we don't do that. So what we do instead is
You're sitting there watching Netflix.
yeah. All right, David, anything else?
Nothing, mate. We got nothing.
Alhamdulillah. With that said, thanks everybody for watching. The Beatles suck. Roger Water.
He sucks worse.
Son sucks worse.
Great musician. Terrible person.
Yes. We will be back tomorrow on David's channel, where we will talk about something that actually is relevant instead of some garbage like what we talked about today. And we will see you then. Elvis has left the building. Until tomorrow, have a good day. And as always, listen to Leonard Cohen instead, not the Beatles. At least the guy was a good writer and good musician. Listen to Leonard Cohen. Peace be upon him. Peace be upon him.
Hallelujah.
This is our outro music.
Hallelujah. La 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 da 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 da.
Stay away from Islam.
Da 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 da.